And how's everyone doing? Welcome back, guys. So we are live. The internet is good to go. You guys can actually read the chat. I can flip back and forth across screens. Look at me. I'm like full screen now. We're actually going to be going ahead today and working on getting Cooney done here. I'm just starting Cooney up. Perfect. So how's everyone doing? Happy Wednesday to you guys. Coffee. Cheers. This is not I should actually put tape over that. I should do that. Yeah, screw Max. It's just my lucky cup, that's all. Do you play console occasionally? Not lately, dude. I haven't really done it much. Okay, cool. So we are good to go. So let's go ahead and get some playtime done here. Oh, you know what? That was almost smooth. I have the wrong game capture. I have ROKH from yesterday. I forgot to double check that. There we go. It should kick in now. Oh, and it's small. Look at that. Good thing we can edit on the fly here, guys. Perfect. Okay. Right on. We're good to go. All right. So we last left off. We were doing the wall. We're actually doing the cross beams over on this side, but it's almost nighttime. Do we still have materials and stuff on us? We do. Is it Horde night? Is that what's happening? Oh, you know what it is? It's Horde night. I almost went back and started dicking around, and I completely forgot that we're starting off with Horde night here today. Derp. Wow. All right, let's head up here a bit and get my shit together. So we have everything we need. I just need to dump off supplies and crap. And then we can go kill ourselves some zombies. I still haven't made repairs up top. Maybe I should bring some bars up with me and do some last minute repairs. So Brutus, the new huge dog that that I recently acquired, is doing pretty damn well. He's been really active, walking around, saying hi to everybody. Lex loves him, so that's good. They get along really well, especially for two dogs that are completely different sizes. It's funny seeing them together. Hey, Darren. Hey, Jay. How's everybody doing? Hey, Sierra. You too, Jamie. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Look at that health and stamina go back up. All my dumbass dying I did recently. Love it. Hey, Midnight, what's up, man? Oh, you know what's cool, too? If I do shoutouts, I can, like, press a button and have your logo come up. That'd be pretty cool. Okay. And there's other stuff I don't need here. We'll go get rid of. It sounds like we already have some zombie action going on. MD has been here before. Actually, MD is the only one who's been here before. Fact. Okay, so I should have a couple bars sitting around as well here too. I don't need my food or anything anymore. There we go. Repair kits don't need. I'm not coming into this one with a weapon, I don't think. No, we're going all by hand, I think, this time. Unless I have some random ammo somewhere else. I've slowly been running out of ammo. Oh no, here we go. We'll just take a sniper rifle. Oh, I lost my sniper rifle in the great. Oh wait, no, here we have one here. I lost my good sniper rifle in the Great Zombie Hole incident of May 2017. It's pretty fantastic. Band-aid there. Okay, we are good to go. Let's go look for those iron bars. Hey, Nexius, what's up? Guess what just got... Oh, you're playing with it now? Doesn't it feel good in your hands, MD? If it's cold out, it probably actually feels cold. Okay, let's go do some general cop damage repairs up top that we can do before. And I want to say a big welcome to our first sub of the day, Bar Down Boyer. Welcome, man. Alright, so I'm going to actually use my forge room to get up there. We're going to go up to my forge room here. Here we go. See y'all later. We're going to go up to the top because this is where we need to take on the zombies anyways. I'm going to stand here and stare at them while they all run off the edge. That's what this is going to consist of. Oh, wait, no, I have a sniper rifle. What am I doing? What am I doing? I could do better than that. Perfect. There, one there. You know what? It's actually easier to finish kicking these out because they're like almost broken anyways and replace them than it is to repair them. Good old disposable iron bars. You keep me safe. Ish. Right on. There we go. And now we got 20 minutes to kill, guys, before Horde Night. Oh, you're at work? You feel cold coming on? You should sue. You have the power. Hey, Gunner, what's up? Hey, Eden, good to see you. It's been quiet lately. You haven't been spamming the chat much. Where you been? Okay. Hurry up, Horde Night. Hopefully they come. I want them to come from that way, to be quite honest. Hi, dog. He's a leg rubber. I don't know. He's weird. He walks back and forth and rubs against the back of your legs. It freaking tickles sometimes. I'm not used to having a dog this size. All right. And they are nice. And oh, he got away. The sniper skills are strong with this one. Oh, this one's got some distance on him. Come here, buddy. Oh, he took that to the neck. Okay, there we go. That one brought him down. Whoa, was that a feral right away? Did I just miss a feral? That'd be cool. I love popping heads with the sniper rifle. So much fun. If I can actually hit them. Screw you, football player. Is that a one shot? It was. Am I hearing hitting? Where is that coming from? Okay, we gotta go check this out. This sounds bad. How are they... Are they hitting up top? I don't know how they're hitting it up top. Let's go down and see what's going on down here. Something just sounds a little off. A wee bit concerning. So, oh, bodies. Thank you, putrid girl. Some parts and stuff. Oh, did I just pick up shoes? Oh, man, those shoes can go fuck themselves. Okay. I forgot all my stuff down here from last time as well, too. This is pretty much what my Horde Nights consist of, and this is why you don't see me actually doing that much looting, to be honest. Oh. Sounds like we got some disco zombies going on. Whoa. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign. Where did he come from? Is there a hole in here already? Where the hell did he come from? Oh shit. Ah, there's a hole right here. Here we go. That was weird. I've never had a zombie do that before. That was also a very lucky shot as well too, by the way. Okay, what are you doing, buddy? Come here. This Horde Night feels really creepy. I have a really bad feeling. I have a really big feeling. Strong feeling that something's gonna go bad here tonight. That must have been an omen, maybe a precursor to what's about to happen. Say goodbye to your head. Okay. Oh, you know what? I needed the repair kits. Did I still have them on me? No. That's okay though. We can always grab them. I hear one rotating. I don't know where the fuck it is. That's creepy as shit, to be honest. Like, he literally sounds like he's... Is he over here somewhere? Like, What is happening? This is some weird shit. This is... I'm actually kind of... I'm really creeped out. Where the fuck is it? It must be up top. Am I hearing them all the way from up top right now? That must be what's going on. I'm going crazy here. These guys, they fall on the bodies. Where are you even going, buddy? Oh, look at this guy. He's doing the same thing now. You gotta love it when they do that. Come here. This is really weirding me out. Okay, let's go up top, see what's going on up top, because just weird. Some weird shit. Oh, they're gonna start falling down now because I'm out in the middle. Because what they do is they gather up top, and then once they come out to the middle... Whoa! Uh-oh. You know what that sound is? That's a ladder sound. Where'd they get in? Is my gate down? No. Okay, I'm very confused as to how they're getting in here. Weird. Hey buddy, what's up? Hopefully that fall actually kills him. Another one goes down. Another one loses his head. Yeah, that's really weird. I can't explain those two. There's got to be a hole or something somewhere that they're falling in. I don't even know. Do you guys know? Did you guys see a hole or something somewhere? I can't even think as to where they would be coming from, and I built this thing. Damn it. Fuck your heads. That's quite a bit of them. It's a good horde night. I haven't died in a while. Well, I haven't died from falling. Oh wait, no, I did. I died falling in a hole. But the zombies seem much more plentiful tonight. Bet you didn't enjoy that, eh? Stupid cop. Oh, no. That was bad. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This horde night's about to get real hairy, guys. He just blew a hole right in the top of my my power station thingy. So whereabouts is it on the top? Oh boy. Yep, that's never good. I'm gonna have to try to keep them away from that thing. Okay, get out of here. And they're all coming from this direction too, son of a bitch. Oh crap. I'm gonna have to really So we're gonna have some random zombies down there if not. Okay, this one's headed straight for. Oh shit. Oh, okay. Okay, look at that. He jumped. Maybe there's something there stopping him. Ooh, a feral? Yeah, I do not want you coming down there. Come here. Stop waving your head like a son of a bitch. Oh, okay. I think we got lucky. I think there's something under there. There might be a pipe. I think we got real lucky with that shit. Wow, that's intense. Okay. What are they all doing down there? They're not making much noise. Usually they're banging up quite a bit. Okay, I gotta look down here. Is there any on the ladder? Because they got in. Okay, I'm gonna drink a beer here just in case. Because I don't see any holes or anything or any way. Like, how they even got on this ladder is beyond me. Hey guys, what's up? Okay, let's throw some fire out there and start doing some damage over time here. And it usually takes care of some of the ones that have done a lot of taken a lot of fall damage. That's why I like to use the fire arrows on them here. There's not that many alive down here actually. I was quite surprised. Stupid Spideys. I don't think they would have gotten up that way. Because there was a hole here, but there's no way. Unless they piled. But even still. It's weird. Okay. Alright. Let's get this sucker out. And start hitting some heads here. I can't hit him through that one. Come here, buddy. It is so hard to hit them. There's like a very small sweet spot in between like two poles. Double poles like this is even harder. I'm gonna have to come down here and repair this in the morning. Here, I'll help you destroy that pole, man. There you go. Oh, that's a woman. My bad. Sorry, ma'am. Alright, so they should start falling back in once they come out here as well, too. Okay, let's grab this stuff here. What's up? There we go. Ooh, that thunder is loud. It thundered here last night like crazy. We had a sick thunderstorm. And it's supposed to do that again today as well, too. I'm pretty pumped about that. I love thunderstorms. They're pretty cool. Oh, we already searched you. Apparently we searched you guys. I haven't searched this zombie head though. Oh. Hello. Okay. Oh my god, I have so much stuff from Horde Nights. I'm not very good at stashing it. We don't have too much storage in here. Okay. There we go. Let's go see what's going on up here. I really, really hope they're not falling in that one area. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, there's a fucking feral right there. Y'all son of a bitch. Where'd he go? Oh, he's over here. Spinning out on top of the bodies. What's up, man? Gonna light you guys on fire. Oh, sweet. I got stun damage on that one. That's cool. That was good timing. Oh, nice. And the walker goes down. 3 parts on him. Not a bad deal. I do have lots of parts. I don't think I needed any of those, but we'll take them. Yeah, full magnum in a couple drops. Come here. Oh, oh, oh. I fell in my hole. And I missed him. Okay, so what I want to do is go back up to the top, and I want to go check that hole, because that hole is right above my panic room. So if they get down in there, we're going to have zombies all over the place, like crazy. Hey, how's it going, HQ? You should build an airport in this game? Holy crap, man. That'd be huge. Imagine that, though. I'd build it as a POI in Alpha 16, and you guys can spawn them in on your own maps. That'd be pretty cool, too. Okay, we're good. It doesn't seem to have gotten any larger, so I think we got lucky, and there's like a pipe or something coming across the top of that. And it's almost morning time, so we survived, but some freaky-ass shit happened. Zombies got in. How? I don't know. Yeah, how do you think they got in, man? Like there might be a hole or something somewhere that I don't know about, but there's only those 2. So I don't know. It almost feels like I just got robbed, and I don't know how the robbers got in, because there's no sign of forced entry. Bites of dust. Oh, here we go. What's up, Feral? Take some of that fire. I love playing with fire. I do hope eventually on 7 Days to Die we see a fire trap. I just think I think fire is the best way to kill a zombie. We just got a full enough to build a whole magnum off of these drops here so far. That's why you guys see me leave. Like if I'm out and about and I kill zombies, I usually don't loot them too much, unless I'm like running low on something, like I need sham. So wow, like look at all this stuff just sitting here, all for me. Okay, let's go see what we got down here. I'm gonna dump some of this off. Oh, we got daytime going on. Oh, I still gotta do another cleanup down here, damn it. Like some pistols, lots of hazmat clothing, lots of pants, lots of shoes. I find we get lots of shoes. Those drop like crazy. Other random crap. Let's go up top, make sure there's none wandering around up there, and take care of the remainders. And then do some cleanup. Looks like we got ourselves some repairs. There's a hole in the wall on the floor you're on. Is there? Did they tunnel through somewhere? Because that's quite possible. Okay, guys, you can fall off the edge on flames. There you go. See you later. Is he dead? Now he's dead. See ya. Is this one alive? Oh, he is too. That was creepy. Come on, there you go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna have to come back up here as well too, but I gotta stop off at the forges, grab all my repair stuff, go down, do some repairs, and then we're gonna take a look around and see exactly how they got in. I mean, I've been breached before, and that was a great episode when I had like the 100 zombies per wave hordes. Oh, those ones are insane. I haven't bothered lately because I'm honestly just more concentrated on getting Cooney done. But I will try to include the opportunity for you guys to switch them around. Okay, so I think I'm out of metals in here. I am. So the steel I'm going to need is either in this storage, or I've been making it in the forge. So we need concrete mix. We need a nail gun. We need repair kits. I'll take a full stack repair kits instead. Forged steel, which we barely have any of apparently. Where's those poles are? The poles. We'll go back down and take a look anyways. And I gotta get some more glass going. Oh, cool. 216. You know what? That's good enough. That's better than nothing, right? So let's get some more steel going. What do we have in here? Ooh, half and half. Okay, we're gonna get these topped off. Let's top these bastards off. Oops, don't need stone, but I am gonna give myself some coal as well too. This one here. Ooh, we do need clay. We need a lot of clay. Okay. Damn it. And this one here is still pumping all that lead. All that lead we got from the mining episode we did last time, guys, is all in there. Does your wish there is kind of some kind of boss for 7 days to die? I could honestly care less, man. Okay. We want to go with shower glass block. Here we are. 360. Nice. That'll do another good chunk. That should be definitely enough to do another whole panel of that one side. But we still gotta. Oh, look at that. We're getting low on glass. So let's get some sand up in there. Yeah, let's get ourselves some sand, and we needed clay as well too. Anyways, so we're gonna grab up some of that. Here we go, and a few things of sand. Awesome. Pillars. Happy pills. You gotta love the happy pill. It does a job. It fixes everything you need it to fix. Okay, cool. So now it's pumping glass in it as well here too. So I'm gonna top the clay off in this one, and then dump all this stuff off, and we're good to go. We can go do some repairs. Oh fuck! I forgot to top off the forges. So I'm going to take 200 and actually split it in half because that's pretty much almost there anyways. There we go. Back up to 80 minutes. Back up to 80 minutes. And perfect. I do like to keep these in stacks like this so I can grab them to top off just one, right? Alright, that's why I don't use sword and stuff on that one. Oh, look, I just got some other random crap on me. Let's throw our brass into this box here. And head down and see what we got for repairs here, guys. Oh yeah, my legs sprained or broken. I haven't used a happy pill. Maybe I should, but I haven't. What's this guy got for us? Some random crap. Okay, so we're gonna get up there actually from over here. We're gonna take out the couple of blocks we have sitting right here. And actually just drop down in. I'm gonna land on a zombie body. Perfect. We'll loot these guys that aren't looted. Take what they have. Give me what you need. It's a lot of bodies. I really do miss the gore blocks, but apparently gore blocks really lower for the performance of the game as well too. I would play a mod that reintroduced gore blocks, because what they did was they piled up and the zombies would pile up, so you like simply couldn't get away with a design like this, right? Because eventually they'd pile up over top of it, end up banging through the wall and dropping in on you. So if you made a pit, you had to really make a pit. These pants here, guess what they can do, guys? A bunch of hearts, they can go fuck themselves. I really seriously hate pants with a passion. Paper, here we go. I get so many of them, and I hate them in real life. Pants should be illegal. Okay. Let's get these repaired. They're finally starting to break through the stainless steel, and honestly, I don't really find the stainless steel that worth it. I'm new. Where should I build my base? Anywhere you want, dude. This game is fantastic in that way that you can build your base any way you want, defend the base any way you want. There's options to play the ways you want. If you're looking for like foolproof modes, the best way is just to hollow at the top of a building and shoot down through it with iron bars and stuff. But some people prefer to like have face-to-face action with them, take them on face-to-face. Some people like having like outdoor ones, where mine is like just it's. Don't try this at home. Okay. I am playing on PC, Arvin. Welcome to the channel as well, too, dude. Oh, and I apparently on Horde Night failed to thank you guys for your subscribes here. Bar Down and Kira Lay and Gold Ghost, Lashburnt and Sayanator. Welcome to the channel, guys. Sorry about that. Do we have a Wandering Horde? Oh, we do. I said this last Horde Night. Every morning, I get after Horde Night, I get a good-sized Wandering Horde right after it. And here it is. I told you guys. Always happens. Like, almost without fail. Shit, I should drink some beer here, too. And use a health kit. Let's get out the heavy gear. These guys go down like a bitch on the heavy gear. And you can't walk on the zombie bodies either because they actually slow you down. See you later, departed woman. Okay, who else came to party? Oh, they're gonna bang at the wall down there. Damn them. This thing is awesome. It's like a giant mallet. I love it. This is one of my favorite weapons. This and the crossbow with the where'd you go? Ring around the rosy here. Holy shit. Where is he? Oh, there you are. Ooh, I hit him right in the tit. Whoa. Gotta love these wandering hordes. Let's go take care of the stragglers. Here we go. These are the underachievers of the group. They're the ones who are like, we'll arrive last just in case we do win, and then we can celebrate with them. Come here, buddy. Any more of you? Oh, yeah, there's one over here on fire. Cool. I think we got them all. May as well loot these guys. I mean, we're in that cleaning mode anyways. And seriously, that blue shirt can definitely go fuck itself. Oh, damn it. I have to move my camera back up. 1 second here, guys. I'm gonna move myself up the screen. Oh, no, not the screen. I'm gonna move my webcam up into there we go. There I am. I'm still like arranged for yesterday's stuff. Okay. Yeah, that shirt can definitely stay there. Don't need that. I don't even want to scrap them because it's too much work. Yeah, that hat can stay as well. There's so much junk in my inventory. Okay, what do we got? I guess that gunpowder is actually kind of valuable. Whatever. Shams, I definitely want all them shams. Those are a good call. Repair all the damage they do up here. Sometimes they hit these randomly for some reason as well too. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had a cramp. What are you guys talking about? girls are gross. Oh, is Bo in some pain? That sucks. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, look at this. Vitamins. We're actually going to go ahead and just use those right out of the inventory. Oh, look at that. Vitamins, 2 in a row. Not bad. There's some weapon stuffs here. We'll toss out some cash. We'll toss out that and the bones and 2. Oh, we need those 2 rebar frames. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it, Bobby. There we go. Oh, I just grabbed everything else. Oh, I have so much junk. So much junk. Oh, wait, can I scrap? Oh, I can scrap these, yeah. I'll actually go ahead and scrap those up. I mean, I don't really need the lead now, ever since we hit up that one mine, but hell, it worked. I'm gonna have to use the backup storage around the back. They don't have cooties? Oh, they have cooties. Ugh, gross. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go underneath as well too. Someone said that where the pillars are. No, they didn't break through here. There's no holes or anything. That's what I mean. Like, I have no idea how one zombie got in here and how one was down here. Like, maybe they glitched out and fell through here somehow. But I don't even know. I've never seen that before or have observed that behavior. Hey Kevin, how you doing? I have all the cooties. Oh well, you can keep them then. As long as you have them all, then that's cool. I'll just just always wear cooties protection. I think that's how I would answer that question. What does mean wear protection mean to a kid? It's like, say you don't get cooties. Easy, done. Although that could backfire and your kid will come running around telling people that you should wear protection. Olive Skippy's Angels here today. Yeah. Oh, you mean the real ones? Alright, well that wasn't too bad of a repair for Horde Night. I'm still waiting for them to break some of this down. Like next Horde Night, they're definitely going to get through these ones, I think. They're getting there. They tear through the steel a lot faster, but honestly, I hate going back and forth to the trader for it. It looks like there might have been an explosion over here at some point. Well, hey there, guy. How you doing? He's rubbing up against my legs again. I mean, he must have lived with a cat or something. He's doing what cats do. You know how cats rub up against your leg? That's what he's doing right now. I've never seen a dog do that before. Okay. Oh, look, some zombie remains. I guess we didn't search these guys. Apparently not. Got some more sham out of the deal. That's half the sham we need to make a happy pill. So that's good. All right. So we're done down here. Let's get back into the downstairs. I'm gonna check out, see if I can figure out how they got in, and then we shall go and do some more buildings. Maybe I should use a happy pill actually. Do I have like a perma broken leg? Splinted 34 minutes. Oof. Yeah, I have an actual like broke leg. Maybe I should make a happy pill. I think I should make a happy pill. I hate being slow, especially if we're gonna be building. Derp. I fell off doing the cross beams last stream. Oh, we have a happy pill. I'm gonna use it. Sayonara. We're gonna also use some antibiotics to get rid of that infection. Oh, and I brought all my garbage with me too. Son of a bitch, I don't feel like sorting this. Whatever. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be lazy, and I'm actually going to throw it in a container that I'll never remember where I put it all. So one day I'll open this, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's where all that shit went. That's right. So we need the steel. We don't need painkillers or any rounds. This is how I organize. Oh yeah, and we need to... go like that. Oh, I could have just dumped this down below, but we're pretty full down there too. This is how I organize, guys. Remind me never that that's there. Let's go back down and check this shit out. My dogs do that? Really? I've never seen a dog do it. Are they tiny? Are they small dogs? I've never had a small dog before. It's a whole new experience to me. Okay. So, there's no holes in this room. They may have... No, oh wait, no. This is my other fall shaft. Oh, this is my oops, I fell shaft. That's my emergency fall shaft. But yeah. I have no idea how those two zombies got in here. That is freaky weird. Like, they should have not have been able to access. The only way they would have is if they tunneled through. But they didn't. Alright, whatever. Let's go back up and... we need to go replace blocks up at the top. That's what we need to do. Okay, we need to go back up to the lobby. And then we need to go back up top where my power place is. Because there's a hole there. I want to go check that out. We got lucky as fuck with that thing too. Because it didn't actually put a hole in that they could fall through. And they just kind of walked over it. So lucky. We should have plenty of those left in full blocks over here. 87, that'll do. We got to bring that up with us. And then I may as well grab the rest of my gear because we're just going to be building for the rest of this episode here. We're going to get all the cross members done. So it looks like I should probably bring a little bit more mix as well, too. That's probably a good idea. Some foods. We need yucca as well, too. Okay. Grab up some more mix here. We're going to have to fire up the forges soon as well, too, and start making more mix, I think. We're going to come close to finishing it and not having to make a lot of mix, but we're going to have to do another run. Okay. So, let's eat up while I drink a coffee here. Really, Richard? That's weird, man. It's cool. Do you have cats? To be fair, though, my dog's like 130 pounds, and he can't really rub up against the back of my legs while I'm sitting down. He does nudge me, though. And you know when he nudges you. Holy crap. Okay. If you ever see my arm go flying all of a sudden, it's because Lex has given me a random nudge. That's what he does. Let's go up top and take a peek at that damage now and see what we need to do to fix that. That was insane. I was not expecting that to happen. So mental note, never let a cop blow up on that motherfucking thing. It's a bad idea. How long has it taken you to build your base? 449 days times 50-minute day cycles divided by 60 for the hours. That's how much. I haven't done a recent count, so. There was holes they could fall in. But this hole wasn't here beforehand, though. This would explain why there would be zombies down there. This would, but this hole wasn't here before, so I can't explain that one. Holy crap, I got lucky as fuck. No zombies just fell down that hole that whole horde night. Wow, talk about a close call. Holy shit, man. Oops, that's not my pickaxe. Let's fix that. What I'm going to do is just take out some of the weaker ones because it's easier just to bash them out and replace them than it is to fix them. Oops, that one wasn't so bad. Neither was that one. This one's looking pretty hurting. Yeah, that one went out in one hit. Those cops can do some damage. Holy crap. Okay, and I think there is one right over here. Oh, and I need to go repair that edge as well, too. Then one right here. Yeah, okay. 2, 3. Perfect. Fuck, did I ever get lucky. That would have sucked. Okay. Let's drink some water because our temperature is going to start going up as we work in the desert. Oh, they took out one of my lights. They managed to take out a light too? How'd they do that? Whoa, they managed to take out 3 lights. Oh, they must have just angled it perfectly up that way. Damn it. Damn zombies taking out my lights. I'm going to try to fix that one of these days. Oh, wait, that was from before when I did the repairs. I just needed to upgrade it with metal. Cool. Okay, so we're going to drop on down and actually go and get some work done here, guys. Can you guys hear me fine? The mic's far away from me, and I haven't adjusted it, so. Yeah, Lex is an awesome dog. He loves his new little buddy. He's so easygoing, and like he doesn't care. He's not territorial at all. He's just happy. Loves company. Like that, he's the type of dog that without question hop in someone else's car and like be someone else's. You know what I mean? Like he loves everything. It's awesome. That's why I got to be careful with him too. He's easily stealable. Yeah, we got to do some more of these cross members. We got to get the cross members done. This is a bit of work as well too. But once we get our groove on, it's not so bad. I'm actually going to put these up here so I don't confuse them. I've done that. Nerd pulled within the metal trussing, thinking it was rebar frames. Whoops. My bad. Don't do that. It's not good. Okay, so we're going to crouch, put that on that side. Because there... And I just dumped my my splints too, I think. Damn it! Damn it. At least I won't get the speed thing. This is what last time was like. Gah. Okay. Well, I have some cloth fragments. I could probably make one. Oh, no. Here's 106 of them. We're good to go. Perfect. Use. I'm gonna keep those on me. So let's try not to do that again. Son of a bitch. Nerd poles aplenty. You know what I did? I thought I was on this part here, and I crouched over and fell off this because I'm a big dummy. Here we go. So now I should be able to reach the other side, and I can go like this. Connect the two sides, and then build in the cross members. And then what I'll do is just like pretty much get them upgraded right away. There we go. Just gotta pay some attention. That's all. Building with Skippy. 7 days to die. How to die. Broken ankle syndrome. That should be a thing. I think it can actually be a medical condition. This side here, I'm actually going to match the front. The far side over here is different because this is where the racetrack is going under. But all I got to do is finish this side, put the glass in, and this thing is going to be open for distribution. So we are actually on a major mission to get this done. Like 100%. Yeah, I guess once I did it in real life, I'm like, it's nothing, right? Do it in game all the time. Been there, done that. My guy, is he still overheating? He's at 91. Gotta love the desert sometimes. I guess I could put on appropriate attire, but screw attire. I'm gonna wear my skirt. Does my skirt cool me down, actually? I think it may. Insulation, -10. Yeah, I got a nice little breeze coming up that skirt. It's a nice color, too. I do like how it brings out my eyes. The pit bulls. Oh, I love pit bulls. They're friggin' awesome. Raised right, friendly. They're amazing dogs. Lex is a good friend out in Edmonton. Because I split a house with the people upstairs. And that dog used to come downstairs all the time. Like, it was separate entrances and stuff, but we just split the whole property, right? And I would allow him to come downstairs and hang out with Lex. And he was half pit bull and half husky. Oh, he was funny as hell. Him and Lex got along really well. Lex wouldn't be able to keep up now. That's why I think he likes his small dog. This small dog loves him too. So, took him a little while to get used to Lex. He was really leery of Lex's size at first. Had a little bit of trouble with him going in the house, but he's getting better. It's less frequent. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a challenge training a 16-year-old dog, like housebreaking a 16-year-old dog, but he's smart. He's catching on really quickly, so it's good. And we'll have him whipped into shape soon. I just think he's 16. He's old. He doesn't, like, you know what I mean. He's somewhere new, so it's gonna take him a while. And on top of that, I notice he watches stuff a lot. Like, he watches me interact with Lex quite a bit. He'll just sit back and watch and sit there. And I think he's learning because, like, Lex isn't aggressive at all. And I'm not aggressive with Lex. I think he's kind of learning the environment. But yesterday, he didn't pee in the house twice. Oh, I got so much cleaning stuff to take care of it. I can't stand urine. But yesterday when he did it in the washroom. And what I realized, because I live by myself, so I don't close the fucking washroom door, right? He lays in the room directly across from the washroom, and he was watching me do it. So I've closed the washroom door, and so far today, he hasn't done it. He's actually gone by the door to ask to go outside. So hopefully he's figured this shit out. Because, ugh, pissing. Sucks. Someone's stuck in the elevator. Someone's stuck in your elevator, Jamie? Did your elevator shut down for business? Work calls. I'm out. Take care. Okay, Adam. Have a good one, man. Thanks for stopping in, dude. It's good having you here. And across we go. The pit bulls are some of the sweetest dogs we have. Oh yeah, they're very loyal and like gentle and stuff. And yeah, he was awesome. He was a really good dog. Hyper as shit though. Holy crap. He would look at the dog and even like just go like that at him, and he would run around the house in like circles. You know, he was so much fun. He'd just go nuts. And then there'd be like Lex. He was old at the time when I got him. He was 13. So he couldn't really keep up, but he was still kind of spry. So he would try to run around and catch around the house, but he'd be like 2 rooms back. Dog would run circles around him. That's why I think having another dog's good for him too. Seems a little more active. The small dog's letting him interact with him a lot more. I can't ever say I've actually ever been a fan of small dogs, but this little one has made 0 noise. He is so quiet. Like, all he does is kind of just walk around and check shit out. Got lucky. Even Lex is a quiet dog, too. Unless I have my front door open, then he likes to sit at the front door and bark at everything. That's his bark time. Dobun, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm lucky my cat never pees inside the litter box. Ugh. That's the one drawback with cats with me is the whole litter box thing, I think. I'm not a big fan of it. I might have to get used to it with this little guy because I don't know how he's going to deal with winter because he's really old and he's incredibly tiny and it gets really cold here. So I don't know if this guy's like pad trained or something. Like, I don't even know his history, so we'll figure it out. I went and bought him pads. What I did yesterday when he would go on the floor, I'd put him on the leash and I'd walk him over to it and I'd make sure he was watching me, and I would grab some paper towels. I would soak it up, and I'd make him, or not make him smell it, like I wasn't forcing him to, but I'd show him to it and he'd smell it, and I'd bring it over to the pad, and I did that a few times. So I don't know if he's used it yet today or not, but if he is gonna go in the house, I hope at least he'll use those pad things. Ugh. So it sucks like fine, and it's not a lot, but it's still a pain in the ass. Dub Trolls with the super chat. Thank you very much, man. Very much appreciated. Why did it not make a sound? Streamlabs. Oh, there we go. Holy crap, that scared the crap out of me. That was out of the blue. Thank you very much, buddy. Very much appreciated. Good to see you again. Okay, let's head out. So I have a feeling today, guys, is going to be a little bit of a longer stream. I might take a break mid-stream to get some stuff done, but we'll check it out. It's a quiet, very, very quiet Wednesday. Why won't anyone steal other people's pets? Oh, that's lame. It happens though, especially with like designer dogs and more expensive breeds. People try to steal things. My ex had a teacup poodle and she was strictly pad trained. Yeah, I can imagine putting like a dog like that out in the cold to go to the washroom. You know what I mean? Because that would be cold as fuck on their paws. Can't say I would ever own a teacup poodle. Like, this thing's a little chihuahua, and I've always said, like, I've never liked how yappy and stuff they are, but this one's okay. It's quiet here, so he's not like overstimulated or constantly scared. So he doesn't seem to be sketched out. Like when I first got him, you couldn't even like touch his sides or go near him. Like you could pet the front of him, but as soon as he made a move like above him or go to his sides, he'd freak the fuck out. He still kind of does a little bit if I do it to him. Like I think he was put outside a lot too as punishment for going inside. Because like when I open the door and stuff, he goes and stands by and he looks, but he shakes a lot. And he seems to be really stressed out about going outside. So something's going on with that. But with Lex now, the last couple of times, he's actually just followed Lex right outside. And he hasn't been like cautious about it. Because once you do get him outside, he likes it. He walks around, he sniffs everything. He doesn't seem to mind it. But inside... Oh, I thought we might have miscounted this. Because if I couldn't reach the other pole... that would have meant I miscounted it and made this side way too big. People say the darndest things. She was mean, eh? Well, you know, so some animals just have a different disposition, right? Some animals, like people. Some people, like, are just mean. I mean, they could personally change, but even dogs are the same way, I believe. This dog seems to be coming around. I do a lot of... because I didn't... like, I was worried about my 18-year-old lab. I didn't want him to get worried as well. So I do a lot of interacting with both of them at the same time. Like I'll pet Lex and pet him at the same time. So they seem to be getting bonded quite well too. Lex doesn't even care. Like I could bring any dog in this house, and his routine doesn't change. Still the same dog. He's really adaptable, especially for his age. And from what I know of his past too, he actually grew up with a Chihuahua. Well, not grew up. He was a hunting dog, and then he retired, and then that couple had a Chihuahua. So he had a Chihuahua companion for a while. So he's really used to their size because he doesn't like step on them. He's really careful, except for when the Chihuahua gets hit by his tail and goes flying. Oh my God, it's really funny to watch. It's a little mean, but it's really funny to watch. Okay, we're what I'm gonna do is actually take some of these nerd poles out. We're gonna do some cleaning up here. Get that done. I have a white Labrador. It's really calm. Yeah, they're fun. Like Lex is great. Like he's 18. He sleeps a lot, but when I do interact with him, he's really energetic. Like he still likes to play fight and stuff. It's really funny watching an old dog play fight. It's really cute too. I haven't seen them interact like that at all. I don't know if this dog likes to play fight at all. He doesn't bite because I've had to pick him up. Like I had to shower him. I had to shower him so bad. You could smell him from like the back of the house. He stunk so bad. So the second day after we did some trust shit, I actually got him showered. He was scared of the shower at first, but once I started like massaging him and stuff, he really got into it. And then he ran around the house like wagging his tail and shaking like crazy afterwards. So he likes showers. That's good because my lab doesn't. Pain in the ass. Okay, we have everything. Oh, we have everything we need. I needed to get back to the second level. We're talking away here and going the wrong direction. This I could do at nighttime. This isn't bad to do at night. I can take care of stuff. Glass sucks because if I like get a screamer or something and then end up getting a cop, they'll shoot out the glass on me. It's just a big pain in their butt. I should actually start picking up some of this too because I really don't need this anymore. Oh, what am I thinking? Okay. I'll go here and then we're going to go up. Perfect. What I might do is build a temporary ladder system because I can actually like put ladders up against these rebar frames and then take the frames out and then just collapse the ladders later on, and that does a good job. Nope. Think my package might arrive, guys. I'm gonna go answer the door. I'll be right back. We're actually gonna cut ahead to a break here. I'll see you guys in 1 second. And we're back. So my batteries came in for the lights, so I'll have those set up by the next stream, so all this lighting won't be weird in here and we can actually see what is going on. But welcome back, guys. Thanks for sitting through break there. What do you guys think about that? That's sick, right? Like all I had to do is reach over, press a button. Like I don't even have to look away from the screen. Once I learn them a little better where they are, I'll just reach over and I can press a button and it's done, right? That's pretty sick though. Okay, cool. So, we have to go, we did the first row, so we have to go up one more row here and get her done. Now, I do plan on doing more interactive because the bot actually will eventually have a thing displayed on screen so that when you guys do the bank heist and stuff, it'll actually show up on screen. So if I'm on a break or we're on an intermission on a super long stream, you guys can actually play like an on-screen game, so you guys have something to do, right? Because the breaks are the worst. When you actually have to break, you lose so much viewer retention. It's insane. All right, let's get back going here and do some more. I guess I don't cross members. I guess you can call these. Hey Tom Gaming, how you doing, man? Oh, look at that! Right at fucking 2100 too. Damn it! Of course. Do they know I'm here? I'm undetected. Okay, maybe they won't see me. But they're banging at the fucking shit down there now. Oh crap, they're banging at the poles and shit. Okay, we gotta get our move on here and get this defended. Damn it. It said I was undetected. Son of a bitch. Okay. So now that we're down here, we're gonna go and start smashing some heads. Oh, that's not beer. And what I needed was beer. Here we go. 2 wandering hordes on the day after horde day. That's pretty fucking crazy. Half an hour. Oh yeah, we can get this done in half an hour. We just gotta bang some heads. Just gonna get some head here. Get her done. Bam. Yeah, my lights came in. I'm pumped about that, guys. That's the last little touch for my well, the only other thing I really need now is I need a way better mic arm. Like an incredibly better mic arm, to be honest. Ah, shit. Look, there's still even more coming. Okay. Let's take care of these assholes, too. They fall with 1 hit now. Just OP. Stupid zombies. Ruining my fun. I was building. Alright, I think I got them all. All of these zombies can definitely, with a bunch of hearts, go fuck themselves. Okay. Let's get back up and continue doing our work here. Actually, which pole were they hitting? Were they hitting one of my nerd poles, or were they hitting one of the support poles? I think they may have been hitting our support pole. It's one of the ones out here. Wait, no. It wasn't far from where I was, so I was right there. Was it this one? Was it this one? Oh, they were hitting this pole a bit. They didn't do much damage, but they were wailing on it. This ground's got to get all flattened out and stuff. They don't seem to do that if the ground's level. They seem to go around it. But for some reason, if stuff's on like slopes and whatnot, they will do that. Ooh, sham. I'll take that. Okay, so let's get back up and get some work done here, guys. If wandering hordes run into obstacles, they tend to hit them. Not if you do them right, dude. I've had this building for a very, very long time. And the way, if you do it like this, it disorients them, and they never really end up concentrating and hitting on the building. Now these are embers. I did mod these in from the creative menu. You have to make them. It takes coal. Oops, ember. It takes coal and wood. Now this does share the same files as my server does. What I've done is I've taken all of the creative blocks. Like even if you want to make a damn street sign. All of the damn street signs are in here. Here we go. Look at all the road signs. I went in and like put all the road signs even in. So each specific one. So we got signs, Spillway Lake. We can make that one if we want. Oh, I actually should. We can make a sign for these lakes. Haha. Yeah, so everything that's in the creative menu, you can build on it. It's available on my server. If you guys have never been on, it's a pretty good group of people. It's the description and everything, or it's down in the description, or you can go to my website, skippy3.com, and I do love that go fuck yourself button. That's one of the buttons that can't go fuck themselves, because I love it. I'll be adding more and stuff eventually. I just gotta refine it a little bit. It's kind of fun fucking around. Like I've spent the last couple days like trying to get all my screens done and my in-betweens and my break stuff. I'm getting all that refined. Oh, wrong level. We need to go up one more. One more. Oh, you know what I'm going to do here because I'm a big dummy? Is I'm going to start nerd pulling down and assume that it keeps going down that way. So I'm going to undummy myself and just nerd pull up to here. There we go. Wow. That would have went bad. And you guys know I would have done that too. When it comes out, new videos, 7 Days to Die, True Survival, or Valmon. I've been thinking about doing some more Let's Plays here soon. I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying having the time to like up my quality while we have some slow times in the communities. Having that extra time to do that, because when Alpha 16 comes out, I'm not gonna have that much time. Son of a bitch. All right. I don't know why I'm hopping up this way. I just feel like being weird because this is like completely non-efficient. All right, here we go. What am I doing? Can I get just nerd pull up the back of this one? This one could just hide here. It'll probably be here forever because I'll never come back and clean it up. Oh my good god. Ah, and I did that again as well too. Okay, so it's 2 out, and then I can bring the frames across. Skippy, come on. You're embarrassing yourself. There we go. Okay. Savage. But yeah, we will be doing some more Let's Plays, maybe. I kind of like want to do a Let's Play, but at the same time, I really want to get Cooney done. I don't want to leave Cooney half hanging like Castle Miranda. I still regret Castle Miranda, but honestly, it's unplayable. It's just completely unplayable. It's so laggy, like I can't do it. I can't look past it. And I don't know if you guys have seen some of my X's, but I'm pretty good at looking past stuff. You know what I mean? Let's fill those fuckers in. Alright. We're gonna keep going. Holy crap. This is gonna take a while. A little bit of patience, but... Whoa. Holy crap, that was close. Okay, let's crawl so that we don't move quite as fast. It's a little smarter. A little smarter and a lot less deathy. 1, 2... 1... 2. This gets a little more hairy at big heights, because you guys are going to be guaranteed to see some deaths once we get higher up here. It's gonna happen. You guys know it. Her blanket is her bed nest. She'll bury herself in it. Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed about the Chihuahua too. That he likes to bury himself in like bedding, like that huge bed I got. Lex doesn't touch it. He gave it to him. He lays on top of it and like buries himself in it. It's funny. And I find like he's a lot more comfortable with his food and water dish if I put it under a table. So his water dish, or his food and water is actually underneath the table where all my computer stuff is. Because he hangs out by my feet anyways. So now he's looking at me. How you doing, buddy? I still can't really pick him up. Like I've picked him up once or twice. He's allowed me, but it's when he jumped up on my leg. Like he was asking to be picked up. So I hope eventually I can get him used to just being picked up. Because apparently he's a runner. He ran away, so... Did you get that package? Oh yeah, I did. It's my the batteries for the LEDs that I got, so that the cam lighting can actually look normal, and I can have like a stable lighting situation in here. Because the shadows in here are like unreal. I have a wall, like I can actually touch this wall that's beside me right now. It's that close. It doesn't look that close in the video, but it's literally that close. Like you can see my hand touching it. It's got a really weird field of depth, I think, this camera. So yeah, we'll get rid of some of that weird wonky ass lighting. Get that all done and fixed up. And that's pretty much it, other than the mic arm, like I said earlier. Mic arm is still my last thing, but I'm kind of in between a mic arm that attaches to your desk or an actual microphone stand with a boom. There's overhead microphone stands. That would work a lot better because I have the space. And it's very versatile. Like, you know what I mean? If I have to upgrade in the future, I won't have to because I already got it type deal. And it's only a little more expensive on sale than the good mic arm. So, I don't know. Decisions. Yeah, you could tell he was abused. Just the way he acts, like how he's really, really defensive for a while. Like even if Lex would come and try to sniff him from like the side or something, or over top of him, he would just absolutely snap. Like when he first did it to me, I put my fingers in his mouth just because that's like, if you show them that they can't hurt you, it's more of a dominance thing. And he wasn't biting on it, but he was like going like that, like crazy on it, making crazy friggin' demon noises. Oh, this dog's crazy when he's like sounds like a demon. His bark is really raspy too. Like so he sounds like one of those really tiny scary demons. Like not one of the big boss ones, But one of the little tiny ones that like are sneaky. I don't even know. I don't even know how to explain it, but sounds evil anyways. Okay. Let's go up here. We gotta go up. And then out too. Like a big old dummy. I did the same thing here. Good thing these cross members saved me coming off right here. It's a little bit of a lifesaver. Okay, there we go. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out on frames, the frames will collapse. They get to their max weight and hold, and boom, down they go. So we gotta. There's a little bit of a pattern to this madness that I do. It takes a while, but it's worth it. Once this sucker's done, it's gonna be insane. I'm overheating still, so I'm gonna drink some yucca. Noises from a tiny body. Oh, I heard him. I heard him whimper yesterday for the first time. He was looking outside, and I don't know what he was crying at, but he did it. But other than that, like when he's mad, he sounds like a little demon dog thingy. Almost scarier than my big dog. Okay. I gotta use the crouch to do that. I keep forgetting that. You can just hit that block on the crouch. We're gonna go 1, 2, and then we can go out from this side and just go all the way out. Bam. There we go. Awesome. I like to upgrade this way as well too, from both sides, because I have had random collapses happen with setting concrete. If you go from like one side to all the way to the other, it's been random, but I've had it happen. Look at that. You know, this won't be too bad. We're about halfway down this side. It's a little bit of a chore repetitively putting these frames down and then picking them back up or putting them back the same spot each and every single time the same way. Gotta love it. The building life. But this is why I like this game too. What actually originally brought me to 7 Days to Die was actually House of Lights. I don't know, dude. I can't plug them in or use them right now. I just got the batteries in the mail. Conspiracy theories. Does have different behaviors than other dogs? Yeah, they're a little weird. Chihuahuas, like he wasn't biting me, so I'm happy with that. At least he's not a biter. He's a good dog. Like you can tell he's a little just chill, because that's what he does. Like he chills. He'll come out, he'll wander around, look around a bit, go see Lex, come see me, then he'll go back and sleep. Looks like he's found his space in the back room. He likes to lay in the back room, where Lex likes to lay in the living room, in the sun, where the windows. The sun comes in the windows. There's no sun today though. It's extremely warm. It's supposed to be thunderstorming again, which is pretty sick, but there's no sun, which kind of sucks. That's why I said today might be one of them longer streams. I pulled a 17.5-hour shift yesterday. I'm exhausted. What do you do for work, man? That you do a shift like that? It's insane. Okay. I'm gonna go this way. And done. All dogs are good. For the most part. It's proven, and it's neurological, that like the same with people, how you can have like crazy traits in people. Same things can happen with animals as well too. So you can't say all animals are, but 99% of them are 100% curable. All it is environment and some training. That's all it is. Like even this guy, the first day I got him, he pissed in the house like 20 times. Like it was literally walking around after this dog. Like he wasn't marking. He was actually like full out peeing. Because I gave him water. Like he was just looked extremely malnourished. So I think he drank a lot, and a lot of it went through him quickly. And he was just pissing all over. And today we haven't had an incident yet. So that's good. Oops. What time is it here? It is nice and early. It is only 12:44 in the PM for me. I do this during the middle of the day sometimes, because I know I have a lot of British blokes and people from the Australias. It's a little late for them now. It's going to be like 3 o'clock in the morning, I believe. But I'm thinking of trying to do like a stream here and there for the people out in Australias. because there's a lot of viewers out in the Australias. It's been overcast and snowing here for a week. Where do you live again? Didn't you say it was like Antarctica or something? I'm pretty sure you said Antarctica. Okay, we're gonna put one there, put one there. And then we could reach out and connect ourselves. Look at that, we're almost down to the end now, guys. This won't take so long. We just gotta get in the groove and just get it done. That's what we gotta do. We're in a pretty good one today. He's got an old man doggy bladder. Yeah, he that, and he's really malnourished too. Like his back end looks pretty hurting. Now it was told me that the dog had a death stink, that he smelled like a dying dog. I've never really experienced a dog that they were that late in the stage of their life that you can actually smell the death. Apparently it's a thing though. But after I showered him, he seems fine. Like, his pee really stinks. I think he has a little bit of a bladder infection. But I've also been giving him a little bit of apple cider vinegar because my 18-year-old dog gets bladder infections constantly. It's just their age, right? Like, it's a reality. And I can't keep him on antibiotics 24/7. It'll just destroy what he's got left of an immune system. So, I find adding a wee bit of apple cider vinegar to their diet does wonders. Like ever since I started doing it, his coat got 2 times as good. He doesn't really have bladder infections. So I'm trying it with a little chihuahua. I just gave him a little bit, so hopefully it'll clear him up. Because, yeah, like a dog that old on antibiotics, just never good. Okay. Last time I put Lex on antibiotics, he got even sicker. So that was enough of that. Bam. Northern Manitoba, pretty much the same as Antarctica. Isn't that part of Antarctica? I thought it was. Yeah, it's nice here today. Like, it's supposed to be, what did they say, 27? 27, and they're calling for thunderstorms in the evening. Also, another reason why I decided to stream a little bit earlier today as well, too, because they're calling for thunderstorms. Power went out yesterday. And you know what's funny? Power ran out right after I just upgraded a bunch of power bars to a bunch of better power bars. For surge protection on my equipment. Right after that, we got a big power surge. I was like, oh my god. Nothing else in my house got fried, but could you imagine? Because power or lightning hit like right outside my house, a pole right outside the house. It was insane. It was so loud and bright and awesome. Okay. Power wasn't out for that long. They actually came out and repaired it quite quickly. I was pretty surprised. I would love some coffee too. Well, then cheers to you, Bo. I'm having some coffee. Wild's Depot. What time is it there? Is it like 3 a.m. for you, man? Let's take a little bit of a coffee break here, guys. I'm gonna catch up with the chat. So yeah, I can't wait to get that lighting going on. The lights are actually up here. You guys can't really see them because they're behind the camera. But what they'll do is they'll actually bring the two brightest light sources in the room. Will be focused on both sides of me, diffused of course, so it's not like super bright in my eyes. But what it'll do is it'll like drown out like any weird like shadow angles. Like you can tell, like, oops, wrong side. Like my eyes actually aren't that black, but because of how the shadows are resting, it looks like I'm like super depressed right now. But I'm not. I'm actually enjoying a coffee. It's delicious. Coffee. I do like thunderstorms. They are very nice. The little dog just slept through it, so the little dog's cool with thunderstorms. Lex started getting mad at it. He was barking at it, and then tried to jam himself all the way in the back where all my wires were. I was like, Lex, what are you doing, buddy? Like, he tried to jam in a space that's like 20 times smaller than him. What a dog. What a dog. Hey, Tim, what's up, man? Welcome back, welcome back. Dark Roast? Ooh, this is actually Dark Roast. It's Dark City Blend by Nabob. I love Nabob. Some good stuff. How's my audio levels and stuff too, guys? Can you hear and everything all right? Are we good to go? We're having a coffee break right now. I think I got to do this to like make my streams a little longer, because normally I do, right? Like I play for an hour and 20 minutes. Normal to get up and have a little bit of a break. I got to stay stretched out. Is it 12:47 in Australia? I thought it was like 3 a.m. Maybe I had my time off a little bit. All right, let's get back to gaming here a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Look at me. I'm all small again. All tiny, tiny Skippy in the corner. But I do like that cam. It's a little more personal, right? Like if I want to stop and talk to you guys for a second, I can make the cam full screen. It's a little easier to read the chats. I love it. All that stuff was possible before. Like that's how a lot of streamers did it. But you need like a second keyboard. You need to make a whole ton of macros and stuff like that too. To me, it's time consuming. It's a pain in the ass. Like it's a daily thing you have to do. The program that the Stream Deck comes with is like pretty much drag and drop. Like it was so easy to set up. I had it set up in time for my other stream yesterday, my ROKH stream, which, by the way, was actually a pretty fun game. I want to revisit that today, I think, too. I'm going to play a little bit more of it. See if they got the single-player stuff figured out and working. Because yesterday it wasn't working out. It wasn't launching like a local server. So, yeah, I don't know. But apparently you can host your own server on your computer and have your friends play with you privately, so you don't need like a third-party host, and that's nice. I like that. 7 Days to Die, of course, does the same thing, but some games just don't offer that ever, and it's sad. Okay, like a local host. You should visit during a hurricane. I'm not sure if I'd be a fan of a hurricane because like hurricanes kill people. Thunderstorms kind of do, but they kill the stupid, like the people out in the middle of a lake in their boat with a fishing pole thinking, it's just a thunderstorm. Know what I mean? But other than that, like you don't really hear about people dying from too much. You maybe with an event attached to a thunderstorm, like a tornado. I was watching the ROKH stream before you started this one. Since YouTube notified me about it. Yeah, the game, you know what I really like about that ROKH game, guys? It does need some work, needs some polish. It just came out yesterday in its alpha stage. I want to follow it because I do believe in it because there's a lot of AAA title names in it. And it's a survival game. Honestly, like I love the indie development stuff and all that crap, and I support it. But honestly, if a AAA title comes out and builds a proper survival game that works properly, it'll actually kind of amp up the market a bit and, you know, set a little bit of a different standard for developers. Because, yeah, there's the only true survival, like actual survival games we have are all indie developers. I'm surprised the AAA has never tried to touch a game like this before. Like, it's a big market. Get free Timbits. Gotta love them free Timbits. Hurricanes aren't that bad. Jay's just like, whatever. I fish out in the middle of hurricanes. What you got? What you got? Jay's actually, I was telling you guys about the server earlier. My publicly accessible, fully open server. The details are in the description or at skippy3.com. But anyways, he's actually one of the admins on the server. He's a good guy. Just don't fuck with them. You won't get away with fucking with people. It's a straight up PvE building server. So if you're a PvP player that, you know, only knows how to PvP and only plays games for that, don't be surprised when you join and ignore all the signs and somehow get out of lobby by ignoring the signs and then try that stuff. Because like you can't raid people's houses. If it's not yours, don't touch it, right? That's how the community is there. The bot does a good job of policing the mods do a good job of policing like the built-in mods, and my actual admin and mods do a great job of policing. We can tell like if you open someone else's chest and move stuff into your inventory, we have a log of that. We've had people straight up tell us, oh yeah, no, we didn't do it. But you go and look at the log and they've moved all the items. Like you could tell what they have in their inventory, right? Like it's insane what people think they can get away with. Now it's a different situation. Like if you're approached by an admin and you just simply didn't know the rules, or there's a language barrier, or you're a new player and you know what I mean? You didn't realize that wasn't like a POI or stuff like that happens, right? If you're honest, they can work with you, right? They'll work it out. But like if you just go a straight up lie, just be like, no, that's straight up guilt. We ban you right away. The ban list is strong with this one. Yeah, it's a no bullshit server. No snowflaking. You either get along or you don't. I've done that. I fished and netted during hurricanes. It's stupid but fun. Yeah, I guess you get one leg up in the competition, right? Because those land lovers are sitting on land and like being pussies. Stupid land lovers. All right, let's move up here. That's today's thing. Stupid land lovers. You know what land lovers can do with a bunch of hearts? They can go fuck themselves. I love that button. I'm gonna do a bunch of different stuff like that. Like it's we're gonna get some memes. I think we can develop some community memes. We can get some of that going on. That'll be fun. I love being able to like make stuff pop up on a screen like that. Fun or like that. It's fun. It brings a whole new like interactivity to the stream as well. I find. Nerd pull the back end. Oh yeah, you gotta nerd pull the back end. If you don't nerd pull the back end, then you're gonna be stuck in the center. Hey Jerry, how are you, man? Welcome to the stream. I am doing well, thank you for asking. I hope you are the same. This is Alpha 16, but why does it show Alpha 15.2 B8 in stream? What? Arvin, this is Alpha 15.2 version B8 in the stream. Would you what? Now you got me flustered, dude. What are you talking about? This isn't Alpha 16. Nobody has access to Alpha 16. I just want them to get the fucking shit done. Okay, let's go out. Bam. Oh yeah, and by the way too guys, the second round of popularity votes on the 7 Days to Die forums is out. Honestly, the whole thing to me has got extremely convoluted. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I do think it's important to vote if you feel strongly about a content creator. But at this point, I honestly couldn't tell you. I've lost track of what's actually going on. I had a strong lead for a long time, and then they extended it over the weekend. And then a 1 million Spanish YouTuber, 1 million sub Spanish YouTuber came out of nowhere and just smashed it out of the park. Like, just buried me. It was pretty funny. I mean, I don't care. Like, I'll bow down. He's got a fucking million subs. You know what I mean? I wasn't pissed at all. I found it funny. Like, right at the last minute, too. They just had to extend it past the weekend. Just give that Spanish streamer that one extra day where he realized that he actually had votes up. And he was like, oh, damn. Okay, well, I'm going to do a shout out. And then just buried me. And I last time I checked, actually, he had votes on Games for Kicks. So I think he's actually in the run-in against Games for Kicks. But I think it's going to be a lot different in the end. I think the fun pimps are just going to look at the list and go, okay, we want this guy, we want this guy, and we want this guy, right? Like, I don't think it's going to have any real impact on anything. It's just to keep the forum people happy, I think. I love that F button. I know, right? That vote can go fuck itself with a bunch of big ol' hearts. Alright. Vote early and often. Yes, go vote for Midnight Designer. That's who you gotta vote for. That's who I voted for. And beware, guys. I wasn't a big fan of this as well either. It does say in big letters when up at the voting poll, your vote is publicly viewable. So before you vote, remember that that your vote is publicly viewable. So if you're not comfortable with that, there is a little bit of a warning. But if you're too quick to vote, you won't know about it because there's only a warning before you vote. So yeah, this is a big heads up. I don't know why they did that, but I think it's to eliminate cheating, but at the same time, why would multiple accounts care? You know what I mean? Derp. I know, there's got to be a reason behind it, but whatever. Bam. Yeah, like, I like Midnight. Who'd you vote for again? You voted for Games, right? I think you voted for Games. Oh man, that sucks. Oh, I don't care. Like honestly, I really at this point I really don't care. I can just do whatever I do. Like I said, when this is all going on, and like seriously, like guys, if you look at views now from any content creator doing 7 Days to Die, they are incredibly low compared to even 3 months ago. Like 3 months ago, I was averaging 10, 12K views a video. Now I haven't done a Let's Play in a while, but now it's down to like 4 or 5. Last time I checked, my other videos were, or 6. I don't even know. But yeah, it's like trending down hardcore. So like as a content creator, I really need them to release Alpha 16 because it's slow. But at the same time, I am using this time to actually go ahead and get myself learnt. Like, I'm trying to get better video editing skills, better photo editing skills. Like, I'm using this downtime to improve, because I really want to hit Alpha 16 really hard. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at what we're going to see over here. You know what? There's a wandering horde up at that ledge. Check this out. We're gonna drop some bodies off the ledge. There's a whole bunch of crawlers up there, and they're all just standing on each other. That's awesome. Good job, guys. My friggin' heroes. There goes one. Whee! And boom. Okay, let's go another one. Let's get this guy. Oh, and there he goes. And, yeah, you're down. And, this little bitch thinks she can advance up on me. I don't think so. Is she dead? She is now. I hear them beneath me, too. I gotta take them out. Come here. I love how they spin around like that. It's so derpy. What are you doing, buddy? Ah, no scope on that one. Oh, can I get his head from here? Can I get him from here? Oh, I missed his head. Damn it. Stunned him, though. Is he down? Nope, now he's gonna start hitting the building because he's mad. Hate it when my kids act up. Where is he? You making troubles down here, buddy? There you go. Shut up. I need to get your buddies over here. There's still a few laying at the ledge. Look at them just kind of sitting on top of each other. They got nothing to do. That one prefers the top, and that one prefers the bottom, apparently. Love it. My favorite thing to do is watch zombie bodies fall from a large distance. I think that one's dead, and that one appears to be dead. Whoa. He is now, though. Cool. And I love the wind sound you get from being up this high as well, too. Kind of cool. It's morning, early morning here, in case you're wondering. Where's that, Bo? In Australia, right? John Zidar. Oh, there you go. Hey, how you doing, man? Spider, how you doing, buddy? I think we need an English only vote. Oh yeah, I would have swept that last one if it wasn't for that 1 million content creator, like, just wiping it from underneath my feet. But like I said, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of like the concept, but everyone's going in at it like it's some sort of big popularity vote. And fuck that bullshit, because honestly, it's about what you like watching, right? Like, what you're gonna like watching isn't necessarily what I'm gonna like watching. And fuck me for telling you that my content's better because I like watching it. You know what I mean? Here we go. I think that closed mind is bullshit. Brings us a whole lot of like the same content programming just to appease the masses, and completely forgets about like everyone else. There we go. Bam. It's almost like the reality TV friggin' scourge that we had for a while. Everything just turned into reality TV. They're cuddling on the ledge. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're just chilling out there. It's like a zombie midget spinner or fidget spinner. That's funny, man. Yeah, it's kind of exactly like that, basically. He's just they're bored, man. You know, they're filling in some time. They're getting done what they need to get done, doing their job. And up we go, just like that. And then we're gonna move over. Okay. So yeah, that the rock game, pretty damn sick, guys. I think it might be a little overpriced at the moment. I paid 27 something Canadians, whatever that translates into, whatever money you use. But it looks like fun. Like I said, the crafting's pretty freaking amazing. You have an estimated time. Actually, you don't even have to estimate it. If someone wants to do the math, or if you want to do the math, it is 450 days times 50 minutes divided by 60. So that'll give you how many hours I've spent making this. Then you can even divide that by days just to get the days. Know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Okay, how are we doing on supplies? Next mining trip, I think, guys, we're gonna go and we're gonna auger up some dirt. We're gonna go to my strip mine, where I've mined all the dirt for up above, and then when I'm gone over there, what we'll do is we'll get all the forges fired up that make the rock. Because when I have like those 20 forges going at the same time, the screamers are insane. So if the chunk's unloaded, it's actually not that bad. You actually get stuck with like unending hordes. Like it just doesn't end. With that many going, it's insane. Like with my defenses is not bad at all. I cringed there a bit. I thought it was gonna fall all the way down. Okay. Am I at the right height? I am here. Here? Having a brain fart. Nope. Down one. There we go. Oh, no, it is up one. It is up one. Ugh. Apparently, my field of depth is way off today as well, too. Here we go. Perfect. I hate falling off those things. I'm early in the game, like day 7. Should I live in a world-generated house? That is a very good defense, man. Pretty much do whatever you want, man. Do whatever you want. Okay, up we go. Nice. 3. My day has been well, Miles. Thank you for asking. Welcome to the stream, man. The ban hammer is spoken. Did someone get banned? Oh, whatever. That's why I said I think the vote's just a popularity contest thing. And on top of that, I'm thinking the fun pimps are just gonna look at the pool anyways, and then handpick the ones they want, right? Because you can't just thrust a content creator into that. Like they, as a business perspective, you're gonna want to also like filter out the content creators, right? Like if you don't want a certain image, you're not gonna want to go a certain content creator's way. That's why like a lot of people that try to get sponsorships, like reviewing games and stuff, won't actually say anything bad about the game. Because if you're saying bad stuff about the game, as a dev, you're not really going to want to be like, yeah, we're going to give you some money here to say bad stuff about our game. So yeah, it should be interesting to kind of see how this all works out. Then this vote's going to go until I think you said freaking Sunday. So a vote between each heat, like that's going to be another couple weeks. So I don't even know, like if the vote's going that long, how long is it going to be before we see any Alpha 16 stuff? Like, are we not even close? Not even that close yet? Like, are we still way off? We don't know. We're left in the dark. They gave us an approximation, but I think that was a bad idea to do again. The last time they did it was Alpha 13, and it went bad. Went so bad. Okay. That's true. I hope they give it to the popular streamers. That's what I mean. Like, they should. I'm 100% behind them interacting with the community like that, reaching out, because honestly, it's the Minecraft and YouTube phenomenon. They both make each other popular. They're the ones that people watch play the game. They're the ones that people go to review the game before they buy it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just look up reviews anymore. I don't know the last time I fucking watched a review of the game, because reviews are fucking bullshit. If you played a game for 5 hours like this, you should not be able to fucking review it. There's no way. You're not going to know the game at all. You can't have a fair basis on reviewing it. So what I do is I go and I watch people actually play the game, and I look at it and I judge it for myself, right? And I think the Fun Pimps have finally started realizing that, you know, more than Joel just needs to be famous on YouTube for 7 Days to Die, like content like that, right? I do hope, though, Joel does come back around this time around, does make some content, because although it's like nowhere near like a full-time content creator's production value, it still is the dev's point of view, and I do like the dev's point of view. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. It'll be real interesting. I think they should open it up to like how everyone else does it, and you have like you have an application, right? Like you have to, you have to tell them what you have to bring to the table instead, and then you work something out with them. Because to me, like how a lot of people are saying sponsored, to me sponsored means you're paid. or they're paying for your equipment, or they're, you know, there's something major involved with the sponsorship. To me, it's more of an affiliation. Like they're giving you some stream keys and stuff to give away, and they'll have their devs come hang out in the stream in the chat. Like that's cool, right? That's actually really good, because I do think the devs need to come out and make public appearances. The community for 7 Days to Die is getting quite large. I could use some Tim Tams right now. Oh, they're beautiful. You know what reviews can do, guys? With big ol' hearts, reviews can fuck itself. I even let that one stay on a little longer just in case you guys missed it. That's what reviews can do. Like movie reviews make sense, right? You watch a movie from the beginning to the end, bam, movie review. But survival games, you can't put 5 hours into it and call it a review. Like I've seen so many reviews of 7 Days to Die where like in the review of the video, the guy's talking about how horrible of a game it is, and he has an axe in his tool belt and he's punching a tree. You know what I mean? Like, and people are just chewing the shit up and just spitting it back out, and I'm like, ugh, garbage. It's gonna be massive. You know, honestly though, I think this game, once it comes out gold and modders get like a full mod kit and stuff, and we can properly mod without having to be all janky about it, I think this game will get huge. Because a big part of this game, why it dies down, why it gets slow in between alphas, is because straight up, if you're playing vanilla, it gets fucking boring as shit. Vanilla is not hard to master at all. Your first time playing it, yeah, it's going to be fucking hard because you don't know the game, right? But after a couple, like, once you start getting a little more experienced, you'll play vanilla and you'll get bored with it, right? So that's what mods are good for. And once mods come more available and more easily made and more adaptable, then yeah, I think this game will really explode in the long run. Dub Trolls, thanks once again for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. That was really loud. Midnight Designer is still in the chat. What's up, buddy? How many programs do I have? I have 2 full screens programmed. One is for my stream so far, and the other one's for like my general use. So I have like my my GIMP in there. I have my Vegas Pro in there. I have all my web browser. It's so much easier. All I do to load programs now is I quite often have so much stuff up that it's hard to get to my icons on the desktop. It's a pain in the ass. Now I have all my icons on a separate little deck. Actually, if you guys haven't seen the deck, I can actually hold it up. It's that small. Here it is. It's right here. I can't bring it out too far because the USB cord's a little short. That's it right there. Like if I press this button here, it'll actually bring me to my full cam, and actually we can see it a little bit better now in the full cam. Here we go. Yeah, I can't actually bring... Oh, wait, no, I can. It's stuck into the monitor. Here we go. There we go. So I can actually bring it up and show you guys what it looks like. And this is how I have it programmed. It's going to be backwards because I don't have the reverse on the camera. It's not focusing, but all these little buttons perform a function. So now we're going to go back to the main screen. This thing's freaking amazing. I love it. There's no macros, no keyboard bullshit freaking setup. It's made streaming so much easier. If I want to go for a break, I go for a break, and then I can mute my mic so you can't hear shit on break. Now you can hear me again. But anyways, let's get back to the main scene here. I'd probably just blasted some music in your guys' ears. But yeah, it's sick. Like I have an end screen now. I have screens for everything else. I have little stuff like this. You know what I mean? I can add some more of this stuff in. We're going to have some fun with the stream, I think. Get a lot more interactive. I just got to get used to it more. Midnight's hitting that thing up hard. The thing's beautiful. It's well worth the money. It takes away that third monitor you need. So much easier. Okay, let's get the move on here. I'm like a walking advertisement for the company, and I swear I'm not sponsored, guys. I just actually love this product a lot. Like, as soon as I caught wind of it, like, what was it, 5 days ago, I got all over that. It just got released on Monday. It was supposed to be here on Monday. I got it Tuesday. But, because I use Amazon a lot, and the local company here sucks balls and never drops off next day deliveries. Like, they get them. They arrive in the morning, but they never get them out. They're like a third party. They do like UPS and all the smaller companies. Like Purelator has its own thing here. I love it when they send a Purelator. It always gets here and in the morning. But those other guys, they never make it. But those are the guys that go from like industrial sites picking up stuff like that needs like forklifts and stuff. So my stuff goes in and like a little tiny box goes in this big truck to get delivered, right? And of course the company is fucking wants to drop off the big stuff and not the small stuff. So every single time I do that, what happens with Amazon is I get my shipping charges back. So I get free 2-day shipping because they always bring it the next day without Amazon Prime. And I get a $5 credit out of the deal. So whatever. And who knows, like if it comes down to it, maybe they'll figure it out one day and stop offering 1-day delivery where I am. I hope they don't, because it's pretty sick when it does come in one day. But it's a win-win, right? If I don't get the next day, it sucks. But I make some money. Like I've seriously gotten like 5-6 orders now, so I've made like $25 in credit and hasn't paid for shipping on any of those items. I zoomed into the pic on Discord and I should see fingerprints. Eh? What's up? There's a picture on Discord? Fancy. Oh, yes. I'm very high tech now. The stream's actually I'm trying to bring the stream quality up. That's what I meant, like with stuff being so slow right now, this is why I'm taking a break from Let's Plays, is I can focus on my skills, because people like people who have skills. People like streamers who have skills. My stream was always very lacking in everything. It was just kind of like the main screen, and that was kind of it, and maybe a little bit of rotating text. But now I can like flip back and forth in between things. We can take coffee breaks, and I can actually straight up talk to you guys. Whole bunch of different things. How much was it? It was $200 Canadian. It's not incredibly cheap, but look at it this way. For the longest time, I needed a third similar sized monitor and a monitor arm so that I can hold it properly. Monitor easily $200. Arm easily $150. So I was looking at another $350 to get my stream finally set up. And then I saw this thing. And what this does is eliminates me having to flip through screens and stuff on multiple monitors. All my stuff is literally in one little small thing here. I don't even have to look away. And like I said, I can go full screen and then go back without like looking away at all. Or having to like have a second awkward keyboard sitting up here doing any of that bullshit. Sick. So cool. Pumped about it. So for me, it actually saved me money. Because now I don't have to have a third monitor. Even like in the long term for power usage, it uses less power. So it's like a win-win all the way around. Power here is so fucking expensive right now. It's insane. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's cheaper. It's cheaper than a monitor, right? So once I seen that, I was all over it. I pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered all over that. Okay. So yeah, like even if you're a smaller streamer and you kind of want to amp up your setup and stuff, and like I said, you can do stuff like you can make sources visible and not visible, like the go fuck itself is done by a button. Like you guys wouldn't even tell that I'm doing something right now. I could like make it flash, or I can hold it up, or I can make it go away. So many buttons and stuff to play with. And like you can have folders, so you can like make your main screen a bunch of folders so you can go into different modes for streams, for different games or like different scenes. I'm sure I'm going to be expanding this thing like crazy. I'm going to add more scenes and stuff to it, but I've always admired the streamers that went to that level to make different scenes and do all their hotkeys and macros and stuff, because the amount of time you put into that, just self-learning to do that for yourself. Because honestly, as a content creator, being self-dependent is number one. Having help is always great, but being self-dependent, you need to be, because if someone falls through or it doesn't pan out, it's your living, right? So you got to know that at least, even if something goes wrong with my server, at least I know I can go there and fix it. Like I'm not on it often, and I really do appreciate my admin and everything that's on there and taking care of it for me, because I don't have the time at the moment. I will be on it a lot come Alpha 16 experimental. But if I didn't know how to do it in case like they were all away, I'd be really screwed, right? So yeah, it's a lot of learning. So that's what I've always respected about them. But this thing takes all that away. It's so easy to set up too. There's like no bullshit of having to set up like crazy macros and stuff. Having to like set up an extra keyboard. Or an extra, like, you can literally program this thing to change your voice if you wanted to. I got to look up how to do that, because I wouldn't mind bringing the face rig back either. It would be cool to be able to, like, change your face rig on the fly with buttons. Like, change face rigs. You can do it. You can do it. You can program it into it. Blows my mind. It just came out too. It's actually not compatible with XSplit, which kind of sucks. But it's compatible with OBS Studio, and honestly, I have zero complaints about OBS Studio. It works really well. It's really easy to use. So yeah, I've been sticking with OBS Studio, and it's free. It can't go. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And it gets lots of updates, it seems. You can never have enough monitor. Well, I already have the one monitor on the side here for my second computer that's back there. And then I have my TV, which is back there, which I can see through the other stuff right here. So I technically do have 1, 2, 3, 4, but I would have had 5 set up. And my other TV, the other 4K one I bought that I was using for a while as a monitor, that's up in my bedroom now. Shibby. I love the new smart TVs too. Like you don't need to like attach something to it to get like your YouTube and crap on it. It's so much better than back in the old days. We had to have like a PC tower hooked up to your TV if you wanted all that crap on your TV upstairs, or like in another room. Do a high pitched squirrel voice. That's what I mean. Like I want to make like you can do some advanced stuff. Like you can do macros and stuff with it very easily. It's compatible. Ooh, we're out of wood, guys. Should have taken a happy pill. You can make macros on it very easily. I just got to learn how to do all that stuff. That's another learning curve too. But like I said, with taking a break from the LPs, getting not creative, like this is fun for me. I'm so creatively stimulated right now. Like being able to use this thing to amp up my stream makes me a hell of a lot more excited than making a let's play about doing this for 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's just so much easier to stream it and do this stuff that's stimulating me instead of just trying to do the other stuff just to make the money. And I could tell you, I've definitely taken a hit in cash flow since I've started streaming, but it's livable, so I don't give a shit. I'd rather have fun than die to what I'm doing, basically. Sick. Look at that, guys. We're almost halfway up. What have we got? 1, 2. We're working on the third. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more, and we've already got. Oh, we're only on the third up. Whatever. We'll get there. We'll get there. Go way back with the floor models. Oh, those things were awesome. You can never steal. Your TV could never be stolen. It was like almost impossible to steal someone else's TV. You needed a team to steal it. Like that's how much it was. I've been enjoying the streams lately. Oh, thank you. And my internet got fixed. Like, look at the quality of the stream. Isn't it gorgeous, guys? I finally got the internet I've been promised. They came and replaced like a junction box. They replaced a bunch of lines. Like they came in, like literally, my internet. I'm actually getting faster speeds than I'm supposed to be getting. Like my max up was hitting 19. I was like, holy crap! Like I'm streaming right now at 12 megabytes per second. For 1080p, 60 frames per second. It's pretty sick. That made me pretty excited too when he got that fixed. I was just like, thank God. All right, I forget how high we need to go up here. This one's done. Okay, we need to go up one more. One more. Let's get up there. 4 people in the flatbed. I know, right? Yeah, it's no really being inconspicuous about stealing a TV back in those days. Like, you had to go all out. You had to pretend to be a moving company. You had to go and get a moving truck and some outfits. You know what I mean? Just like they had back in the movies when people used to steal stuff. Now you can basically, like, smash and grab a TV. They're so freaking light. 1 to 3. We're gonna keep going. What's the name of that product? Come in halfway. Billy Brute. Oh, are you talking about the Stream Deck that I'm using? It's basically like a DJ deck. That's what it is. It's a DJ deck for streaming. It's the first thing I've ever seen anything like it. It's sick. And honestly, like I have an Elgato game capture. It's what I use for my PS4. I fucking hated that thing. But this thing, man, like I picked it up and I didn't have to look up tutorials, guys. Like, I didn't have to look up how to do anything. It was that intuitive setting it up. It was awesome. I even made all my little icons for the games and stuff, and oh, it's pretty sick. I'm going to look up some tutorials. I want to learn how to do some macros, because it'd be sick, right? Like, if if I'm changing something, if I wanted to move my camera to a different part of the screen, I can press a button to move my camera around and stuff. And I don't know if you guys seen that guy named Doggo. He was the Doge guy. Connor Chater, welcome to the stream. Thank you for subbing. Oh, Christian Robinson, you as well too, dude. I'm sorry, I missed your sub earlier because it got stuck. It got squished in between some other notifications. My bad, but welcome to the stream, man. Hey, what's up, Logan? Same goes for the old VHS players. That's funny. We love having you streaming, and streaming's fun too. You know what I mean? I don't mind doing it. This thing does take some of the stress and worry out of streaming. Like I kind of feel a lot more laid back now because I don't have to because flipping screens and stuff, it's really easy to mess up, and it just makes so much more nice. So much more nice. That just happened. Okay. What one did I use for the PS4? Elgato Game Capture HD. It's one of the older ones. It's like the square one. It's not the more rounded one. But still, I fucking hated that thing. I had to unplug and plug it back in every time I record and it was a pain in the ass to use. Like recording on PS4, it was a pain in the ass. Because like what I'd do is I'd use that, record it to my computer, then I'd edit it. Like you could record it onto the PS4, but I would have to handbrake it to get it to work with Sony Vegas Pro, and handbraking it's such a lengthy fucking process. And you can do lossless handbraking, but fuck, it takes forever. So yeah. Honestly, like I have no hard feelings to get to like the PS4 and the PS4 brethren, but honestly, it's actually kind of nice to be out of PS4 now. It was a hassle. I went a mile and a half to get it done, and obviously it got me to where I needed to be. But at the same time, I'm really glad I went through that struggle, and I don't have to do it anymore. My Elgato Capture HD is sitting in a drawer right now, collecting dust, and it can stay there. Fuck, that thing was so annoying. But this Streamdeck thing works fucking flawlessly. Out of the box. I'm really impressed. What one did I... Oh, yeah, I already answered that. I should put a link in Discord. Put a link in Discord to what? Oh, all you guys, if you want to look it up, just look it up on YouTube. Elgato Streamdeck. I'm having a feeling once these catch on, because there wasn't much news. I didn't really see an ad about it. How did I find out about it? I think I seen a random video about someone going Elgato Stream Deck, and I'm like, what the fuck's a Stream Deck? So I clicked on it, and I saw it, and like instantly went and bought it. So I think like once it catches on and more people talk about it and stuff, it's gonna start selling out like crazy. Because there's a lot of streamers out there, and even at its price point of $150 US, it's still really in reach. You know what I mean? Like if you're serious about investing in YouTube and creating content, it's definitely worth the investment. That's one thing I found out about YouTube as well too, guys. It is a lot about investment. Okay. Here we go. I'm almost done investing for now, so I can actually have some free money. What I want to do is start saving up. Because if I'm pretty frugal, I can actually buy a place here pretty damn cheap. And I just want to buy it straight up in cash. Fuck mortgages. Fuck all that other bullshit. I just want to buy an okay place and then just fix it up over time. Because what I would do with it is I would strip it out and make it into like the ultimate nerd's house, basically. It'd be awesome. You know, if I don't have a wife by that time, because the wife might have something to say about that, but who knows? You know what though? If I do end up getting hooked up at this stage, the wife knows what it does. So she's gonna have to accept the fact that there's gonna be awesome technology all over the place all the time. What I really want to get, I want to get Google, what's it called again? Like the Google House automation going on. That shit's so cool. All automated. How long have you been streaming? I've been streaming now for about 2 hours. So a little while. Has your mom tried her juicer yet? Gator Gaming. It's a little personal, man. Why would she tell me that? I'm just kidding. I don't know. I actually haven't called to ask, to be honest. They haven't even pulled the trailer out. They're in the middle of renovations right now. Actually, maybe going there this evening to give my father a hand tearing the bathroom out. Oh, Wilds Depot donated $20 through,
Don't stop streaming. Also just got a sheep plus ram on starvation. Do I just need a trough in a large fenced area?
I just got a sheep plus ram on starvation. Do I need a trough in a large fenced area? Actually, dude, I haven't touched starvation in forever. I am the wrong person to ask about starvation. If you have true survival questions, 100%, I can help you out with that one. People in the stream, though, there's a lot of 7 Days to Die players here. They can probably let you know what that answer is. And thank you very much for the tip. Very much appreciated. Is it coming up in the stream? I think it is. Oh. Jesus. Okay, so there's 2 in a row. That's what's going on. Holy crap. There's like, I'm not used to these notifications. Like, it's coming up on my OBS. That's cool how it comes up like that. I like that. Billy Brute with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much for the tip, man. Very much appreciated. Apparently, there are multiple notifications for the same stuff, but definitely appreciate it. That's, yeah, it's on Streamlabs twice. You didn't donate twice, did you, Billy Brute? It's only showing up on the live chat once. Okay, okay. Thanks, man. Very much appreciated. $20 super chat and a $20 Streamlabs 2 in a row. Wow. Very much appreciated. Okay. Holy crap, I almost fell off the edge there because I was all distracted. That's what's happened the last few times. You guys scared the crap out of me, and I ended up falling off of the heights that I'm doing. You're no bullshit person. That's why I like you the best. Well, thank you, man. That's what I'd like to bring individuality. That's what I mean, right? If you're not the type of person that likes to know the type of bullshit thing, that is cool. That is awesome. Move the fuck on. No need to bother us. I don't go after people that you know what I mean, that don't like the stuff I do, but very much appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment, dude. You're at school. I hope you're on break there, Michael. That still boggles my mind. Like, how you guys get away with that? Like, your teachers just don't care, apparently. Man, you could even pass around notes when I was in school, and that's right, we had notes back in my day. We had cell phones, but it wasn't as common as it is now. But, yeah, it's insane that they let you guys do that in school that often. Thank you, Marlon. Already heading home to check out my Streamdeck. Oh, you're not even at home yet, midnight? Oh, that's right. You said you were at work, and your Streamdeck's at home. Oh, man, that's, oh, yeah. Go have fun with that, dude. Go play with your deck. Have fun with your deck. I know your deck will treat you well. Just make sure not to drop your deck. If your deck falls, it'll break, and you don't want a broken deck. But yeah, dude, have a good one. And if you guys haven't, anyways, that's Midnight Designer. We have collabed quite a bit, not recently because we're just kind of filling in our time here at the end of Alpha 15. But he's a great content creator. Pretty safe for your kids to watch. So if you have kids that watch 7 Days to Die, I highly recommend him. I do not recommend myself for your kids. If you're a parent that doesn't appreciate your kids watching adult content, well, in the first place, they shouldn't be watching 7 Days to Die. But in the second place, I say a lot of fuck. So, yeah. He's a good guy. He doesn't say a lot of fuck. He might insinuate fuck, but I actually do fuck. I am at school too. That's funny. Oh, and if you guys haven't seen, he's actually in the final heat. In the final heat on the forums. Go and vote for Midnight Designer. I mean, let's all be honest here, Midnight Designer. I love you, buddy, but you have no chance up against those other two, dude. But throw your votes down for him. Make him feel good. It's a popularity vote. You know what I mean? It's between like Games for Kicks and a Spanish streamer pretty much right now. And that Spanish streamer is actually a lot bigger than Games for Kicks. So, I don't know. Things might happen. It should be interesting to see. I'll just watch from the sidelines and not get involved, I guess. Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's not a very big deck. It's a very small deck, so it's really easy to handle. Did you guys see the size of my deck? Is there anyone here that would like to see my deck right now? I'll show you my deck. It's not very big. I showed it earlier on the stream, but there wasn't very many of you on. So if you want to see my deck, let me know down in the comments, and I will show it to you. Okay, we're gonna get these upgraded. Oh, look at that. We're making some progress, guys. Couple more streams. I'm assuming we have about 12 hours more effort left on Cooney Hills before she's done, and I'm out of fucking frames. All right, you know what? Before I run out of frames, what we're going to do is we're actually going to head back up because it's nighttime anyway, so it's almost morning. But I got to get some more of these frames running. We got to make sure the forges are still going and being efficient and still making things because we still need things. And then we'll come back here once we have some more rebar frames. I've almost let myself run out of frames. This is insane. Okay, I got to cross over this way. I'm gonna cheer like a cheerleader. Yeah, I don't know. The last time I put my tied my shirt up like this, I felt awfully insecure. So I don't think I'm gonna do that again. I felt like a whore. Yeah, it was a big it was a big showing of my small deck. That's what it was. You guys would like to see my deck again? Okay, well I'll tell you what. Now that I'm safe right here, So we'll take a big view of this, and what I'll do is I'll actually use this while you guys can see because. See, here's what it is. It's not very big. It's a small little deck. You can push buttons. It's very satisfying. Now, watch if I press my cam full button, it actually goes to my full camera screen, and it's like almost instant too. It's really insane. Yeah, I love this thing. It's so cool. I can't stop showing it off. I just show like all of the other content creators that I enjoy and like today. I actually tweeted them out on Twitter, and I'm like, you guys need to get one of these. It's friggin' sick. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go back to our main scene. Actually, you know what? If I press this button up here in the corner, what it does is that it actually loads up all my games. I actually have a separate folder because now if I go back up, it'll go to my stream configuration. This is my stream screen. I'll have multiple ones as my stream gets bigger, but if I go press this button again, this brings me to my game folder. And as you can see, I have Steam there. There's Steam there. There's Quake there. 7 Days to Die is right there. You can see the little 7 almost. It's too bright to be picked up by the camera properly, but you guys kind of get the point. So I can sit here and let's say I need to make a thumbnail. I can press this button. It brings up my GIMP. I want to edit. There's my Sony Vegas Pro button. There's my internet browser button. It's pretty freaking sick. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to the stream button, and we're actually gonna go back to our main scene here. Yeah, it's so cool. I'm nerding completely out on that. So you guys like my deck? It's a really nice deck. You yourself can get a deck if you really want a deck. Who here wants a deck? Could you add coffee into my stream deck? Fuck my deck. You know what? Jamie? I've had enough of your attitude. Are you looking at me right now, Jamie? Are you paying attention, Jamie? I think you're paying attention. Anyways, enough talk about my deck. Jamie, now that you're paying attention, this one's for you. Just because I know you like kids that much, I made that specially for you. And I've actually held that back 2 streams now. It's been sitting there for 2 whole streams. And I've been waiting to use it. But yes, Jamie, that one is for you. It can go fuck itself with a bunch of big hearts. Gotta love it. Yeah, but now I'm done playing with my deck. You guys can stop me watching me. I play with my deck here. And we're going to go back up and get all those forges all nice and going. But anyways, burn. Oh, that was so fun. I had so much fun making that. I was laughing. You guys will be surprised how easy it is to find a plethora of pictures of babies giving the finger. It is not hard to find whatsoever. There's tons of them. Uncle Peter's just like, what the fuck? Did you just join the stream to that, man? Enjoy that. I just showed everyone my deck and then gave them baby fingers. That's what just happened in our stream. Alright. So, we gotta get some more frames going on. Let's go over and see what with the forges. Oh, wow. We've spent more time The forges aren't even running right now. Okay, we need to get some glass up in there. We need some more coals to get them all forged up and ready to go. How was the sound volume on that transition too, guys? Was it too loud? I've never actually heard the other end of it. I should have tested that out beforehand, but you know me. I'm so lucky. You are a lucky girl, Jamie. Not very many people would make a video, especially for you, and show it off in front of 100 other people. You know what I mean? Takes a pretty special guy to do that. Okay, I'm gonna actually, yeah, we're not, oh wait, this is steel. We're making steel, and I think it takes almost an equal amount of clay. It does. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, get some steel going on, craft it. Take this steel, because we need it for the far side anyways. We gotta start doing some upgradings. And this one's good. And this one needs to be making some glass along with sand. I know, I just threw 50 sand out. Whatever. It's 50 sand. I have so much sand. We don't need it. We don't need it. I can just throw sand away and not even care. That's how gangster I am. So, shower glass here. We got to make a ton more of these as well here, too. Okay, so we still got a shitload of lead. Look at that. Look at that. We still got a shitload of lead baked into it. We just really got to work the glass in. Okay. And, oh, frames. What am I doing? We don't need steel. We need frames. Oh, having a dirt moment there, guys. I'm glad I didn't walk away. Frame. Not plural. Frame. There we go. 11 minutes, I'll have another 1,000 frames. Okay. Okay. So let's go back down and start upgrading stuff. And come back up and grab some more frames when they're ready. I think Jolene drank my coffee. It's gone. Oh, that sucks. It was a little loud, eh? Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll turn down the transition scene a little bit. I thought about that right now. Yeah, because I don't want it to be, like, too much of a loud transition from, like, my voice to the music. And isn't that beautiful, guys? Like, it took me forever to find that cliche bullshit music. You guys will have no... Like, I literally sat there, like, flipping through music for, like, an hour trying to find some cliche bullshit. And that was the most cliche bullshit I could find. But anyways, I do weddings as well, too, guys. If you would like a slideshow for your wedding, I will gladly make you one. Oh, coffee is so good. Hey, Stella, what's up? You know, you're not the first girl to say that to me. Okay. Oh, yeah, we still got some iron in here. I'm actually going to bring that up with us. I got some iron in here. We're going to upgrade a bit. What else can I bring with us? I'm looking for frames, just in case I've, like, randomly left some frames behind. And I have not. That is a shame. Whatever. Let's go do some smaller upgrades. We need to do them back here, because I haven't upgraded all of the wall to steel. All the pole is upgraded, but not all the wall. So I'm going to do these ones first. Let's support the main pole. Then we'll just finish filling in the rest of them. I'm drinking everyone else's coffee. I'm a coffee troll. Do you just like walk around the office and take swigs out of people's coffee and then be like, trolled? But they never find out? Because all you need is the personal satisfaction to know that you took a swig out of that coffee and that's gross for them. But I guess it would actually be gross for you because you're drinking their coffee. Or am I misunderstanding you where you're taking all of the coffee out of the coffee pot? Okay, we'll collapse those. We don't need to bring back sand. We'll bring back some steel. Or some stone. We'll finish off... There we go. Finish off my inventory with stone. There we go. Clay can stay too. It's only 43 of them. Sham sandwich can stay. Awesome. There's so much organizing I need to do too, guys. It's not even funny. Oh, my freaking hair's driving me nuts today. It's all going off to one side, all stupid. I'm really thinking of actually wedding singer. I'm really thinking of actually going and get my hair cut like tomorrow. I gotta get it lopped off. I don't mind the long hair, but this is just because I don't care. It's starting to get warm out, and this long hair sucks in the warmth. And it keeps getting in my face when I'm bicycling as well, too. That's dangerous. That's so dangerous. Alright. Let's go back upstairs and drop some of this shiz off. I'm in history doing research? Jesus. You gotta get your educations, kids. Educate yourselves. Stone. Stone, 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 stone. There we go. You should do a history search on the history of slackers. You'll find countries that lost wars. I'm thinking of a whole bunch of other stuff that's just non-offensive, but I can't because everything I'm thinking of is offensive. We'll slightly skip over that one. All right, so I'm gonna slip this iron in here as well too. I'll put that away, and I don't think we really have that many frames done. I'd be happy with a couple hundred. Oh, holy shit. Okay, we're good. We're good to go and keep building. Awesome. Okay, so I should grab... Ooh, you know what? Looks like I need some more wood, so let's put a little bit more wood in me here. There we go. Perfect. I have just enough hair to be able to pull it back in a ponytail or half of it in the man bun. You rock the man bun, dude? I could never do the man bun, man. It's just not happening to me. I have way too much of a fat head. A man bun would look so weird on me. Plus, no offense, dude, but a man bun. Man bun your hair, Jolene. That's funny. Yeah, I'll put it in braids. Maybe I'll get it done in braids or something before I get it cut off. That way I can walk into any washroom I want. Alright. Oh, wow. This is looking so good. And then when we get the glass in, what I'm going to do is I'll probably need to do some more farming as well too. Because I don't know how many red blocks I have left over. But I want to do the same design like with the outline with the red on this side. But this one can actually be balanced on this side because there is no elevator shaft. Hey, EB Star Runner, how you doing? I'm rocking it right now. Well, all the power to you, dude. We're going to go up over here so I can actually see which level I'm building. And then I guess I have to remember where I put my nerd pole to go back down. Or to go up to the next level, actually. Let's go up right here. Whoa. That would have sucked if I was high up. You should curl them. I actually don't curl my hair and it goes super curly. That's why it's like irritating. It keeps getting in my eyes. And that's why it's like all off on the side of my head today. Yeah. Just don't know. Don't know. Don't care. Long hair, don't care. Okay, let's get up, yeah. Okay, so I did end up upgrading all of this. Then I ran out of frames. Okay. So we're going to go out this way and continue on our journey. Hey, everyone. I see a chat update. Hey, Drake. How you doing, man? Oh, thanks, Tizzle. Yeah, we're getting close. What I'm doing is when I do finish this, I will be distributing it. So look out for a video, guys, about Cooney Hills and giving her out. What I'll do is I'll probably make it my last Let's Play episode of Cooney Hills. And then just like stream it from now on. Because there's no sense in doing like Let's Plays on Cooney Hills, period, right? Then I'll just stream it. Because I want to make the racetrack after this too. But people are still asking for stuff like True Survival and Valmod. And I don't know, you know what I mean? It's kind of all up in the air. Alpha 16 stuff could be announced tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like it's coming out in a week where it's out of code lock and we can start seeing some evidence of it, but yeah. Dry times. Bam bam. Any tips on mass stone farming? Allenbrook. How I've gotten all my supplies is actually from stone farming. See all of this? All of this around here? This used to be a mountain. We actually cut through a mountain. See all the way up there? See how high that shit is? What I do is I dig underneath here and I create a big enough area that actually starts a collapse. And then I bring tons of health supplies, band-aids, first aid kits. And then while it's collapsing, I literally run around the collapsing area and pick up all the stone and sand and then I stash it. The chests are actually way back there. We made a lot of progress. And then I use the sand and the stone to make all the concrete mix, which does this. And trust me, spend a couple hours collapse farming. It doesn't need to be this big at all. You can actually only need to do several layers. Like you don't need to collapse farm like really deep. I'm doing it here because I want to level this out. But honestly, you get so much supplies, you'll be laughing. You do it for a couple hours and you'll fill up a whole chest worth full of supplies. Like it's nothing to farm it that way. That's why I love it when a lot of people, they see this and they just instantly assume I'm doing this on creative. Although, like, if I was, I wouldn't be walking around like this. I'd just be flying around and getting her done. You know what I mean? So much easier. But yeah, that's how you do it efficiently. Sandstone is hands down the best way to do it. Just watch you don't kill yourself in a collapse. I do die a few times usually, but it's worth it, right? Because my wealth and hellness my wealth and hellness goes back up. My health and wellness. There we go. My wealth and hellness. Yep. Almost sounds like it's a thing, but it's not really a thing. Not game hacking. Yes, I'm a hack. I'm a big hack. But yeah, there's basically there's ways to do things in 7 days to die, guys. That makes doing a lot of stuff easy, right? Like if I have all 20 of my forges going, I'm not a dumbass. Like even with how big this base is, I'm gonna be taking on constant screamer and super hard hordes, right? So what I do is I'll get 20 forges going with stone and stuff in them, and then I'll make mix at the same time, because the stone will fire into the forge, and then when that's going, I'll also forge up from the previous session the mix. So then I'll go away for a couple hours, go and do some mining, go and do some farming, get some of that stuff I need done, and then in a couple hours I'll come back and the heat map will be dissipated, and I'll have a whole bunch of supplies. So there's many ways to really efficiently build large like this. Like it just drives me nuts when people like that, they just instantly assume instead of learning. Because my question is, like, when I go see something that someone has done that's impressive, I ask them how they do it. I want to know. I want to know how they figure that shit out. I mean, half the stuff I've done too, I've learned from watching other people. Because when I first started playing this game, if I seen something like this too, I would have been like, holy shit, he must have been doing that for 28 years, ever since the game came out. But now that I know all the little tricks, it's like nothing to do something like this. It's just time. Oh, there's a doggy down there. What's up, buddy? Don't be wrecking the place. Oh shit. Did I seriously miss him? No, but I got sensed. Is he alive? Oh, apparently he was. And I'm still sensed. Alrighty then. Maybe there's one up there? I don't even freaking know. Let's just continue on and keep going. He reveals his face and deck. Well, no, actually, today was the first day I've shown everyone my deck. It's the first time I've gotten my deck good enough to show everybody. Whoa. Whoa. And I don't know if you guys noticed this as well either, but I'm gonna grab it here. I'm gonna grab my deck again. This thing is hard. It's a really hard deck. Like, it's not really. Oops. I went into my intro button. Let me fix that. Okay, don't punch your deck because you'll get unexpected consequences from doing that. Don't punch your deck. But anyways, it's a really hard deck. Like, I was actually really impressed. I thought it was steel at first because it was really cold, but it's really, really dense plastic. Like, it's really well built. I was expecting, like, some flimsy ass shit. Jump, your health and wellness won't go down that much. Okay. Oh, here's the rest of the doggies. What's up, dog? Hey, stop digging. Hate it when dogs dig holes. There's still more? There's 1, 2. Is there a screamer or something somewhere? Oh, here's another one. It's just chilling out. 3. Okay, I got him. We're good. No more dogs. Our problems are solved. No, you want to keep your deck clean, guys. You don't want to get shit all over your deck because then your deck will just stop working and it'll be useless. No one likes a useless deck. And honestly, if you try to return that deck, they're going to be like, no, you bought this deck, you abused your deck, it's your deck. You're keeping this deck. Elgato's actually pretty good with returns. But if you abuse your deck, I don't blame him. Damn. How many dogs is there? They're just going to keep coming today? I think that's what we got going on. They're digging your grave. That's funny. Who's going to provide the alcohol? Everybody provides alcohol. Okay, I hear digging. The hell is going on right now? Like, I can hear one. Sounds pretty far away-ish. Whatever. Maybe it's going after one of the poles? Maybe I gotta look at it from this side? Oh! There it is! Got it. I love the sniper rifle. It's really good for doing stuff like this. All hands on deck? Yeah, man. Like, honestly, if I'm going to be handling my deck, I'd rather use 2 hands. Because, honestly, I've had my deck slip out of 1 hand. And I could tell you, it's not a good thing. Thank God it was, like, only, like, a couple inches above my, my desk. Or, like, my deck would have hit the floor. I don't want none of it. We just got another airdrop. Because I need another airdrop. I don't get it. Are the dogs infected? Yeah, the dogs are infected, man. There's zombie dogs, dude. Are you new to the game? Nuka Cat? A lot of people checking out 7 Days to Die for the first time. Okay, we're gonna go across this way. Nice, nice. And come across this way. There we go. Oh yeah, and I haven't been streaming to Twitch either, guys. For that, I do apologize. It simplifies my streaming setup and allows me to be a lot more interactive with you guys on stream as well too. So I don't have to worry about that. Is my stream deck waterproof? Jamie's getting pissed now. James is just jealous because she's always wanted to see the deck. She loves deck. You know, like I love lamp. She's like I love deck. She can't get enough deck. Shouldn't you be using a hammer? It's better than nail gun. What? Who tells you the hammer's better than the nail gun? Who tells you that shit? It's so much slower. So much slower. That's not the first time I've heard that shit either. I think there's someone out there making videos telling people the hammer's better for fucking upgrading frames than the nail gun. Philip Burke, welcome to the stream, dude. Thanks for the subscribe. I hope you enjoy the content. Yeah, like if you're only trying to upgrade like once with the hammer, that makes a little more sense. But with this shit, no. I don't have any steel in my inventory. So like and even still, if you're upgrading concrete, you can't upgrade it again right away until it's dry. So you can't go damp steel. You know what I mean? Well, that would have happened there, but imagine I was doing it for display and that actually ended up happening. That would have been awesome. But yeah, no, it's hands down best for this. If you want to be like careful and not accidentally upgrade a level, then yeah, I guess use the hammer. But even still, with the nail gun, it is still much quicker. Look at that, guys. Look at that. We're up on the next layer now. We're making our way up in the world. We're getting there. I think we made it halfway up our build today. Oh shit! I don't even know where the next one is. Damn it! We're gonna have to. Let's go back and grab some more frame here. We'll step back and take a look at the building as well here too. I read a post one time that the nail gun was a myth. Gator, it doesn't exist. I'm sponsored by the Fun Pimp. That's why I have a nail gun, because it's pre-alpha exclusive. No, it's not pay for one, thank God. Not what I meant. It degrades the nail gun a lot. Dude, I've had this nail gun for this whole side. I've been using this nail gun for this whole side. See the degradation on it? Nail guns barely degrade, dude. If you're upgrading with steel, if you're using it to upgrade with steel, it goes down a lot faster. I can't say that word too many times in a row. It goes down a lot faster on the repair, but that hurt more dogs. But yeah, no. The nail gun, dude, I've like never had to repair one ever. To be completely honest, I don't remember ever repairing one. It's so slow. Okay, let's go grab some more. If anything, dude, the hammer breaks a hell of a lot quicker than the nail gun I will ever break. Holy crap. Yeah, actually going back to that one, yeah, no, the hammer is gonna break way before your nail gun will ever break. Glass, shower glass. Here we go. Bam. Perfect. I'm gonna go over here, grab our frames, and actually, you know what? We're gonna need more frame anyways. So let's get some more frame going on. Got 219 more in the queue. Now everyone's saying Jamie loves deck. That's awesome. Oh, Jamie, man. Jamie, I have a deck. It's out in my backyard. You know, I actually wouldn't mind having people on my deck. Jamie, would you like to come on my deck? Wow. I actually didn't even mean to insinuate the other first part, but there you go. There it is. It's full out. It's set. It's done. That just happened. It's a nice deck. I think you would enjoy it. It actually is a nice deck. The dogs love it. That one's bad. That one's really bad. Now I watched a video of base building saying the thing with a hammer. Yeah, no, it's completely bullshit. I don't know why the fuck you'd use a hammer for rebar frames. Even for wood, it's slow as fuck. It is so slow on wood. So it's next level up that we need to go. Isaac. Isaac, it's because I showed my deck on stream earlier. It's really nice actually. It's really helping out the stream, but yeah. I think the perverts in stream are taking it as something else. Okay, we're gonna come up this way. Yeah, I mean, Jamie has no problem with it. 1, 2. Hey, Jamie, are you off today? No, that's Thursday, right? Waiting for Alpha 16 to come out. Oh my god, me too, man. Me too. I'm trying to get my mega project finished before Alpha 16, though. So that you guys can go and... Okay, let's be honest. I know what you guys are going to do with Cooney Hills. You're going to load it into fucking creative and you're going to blow it up. That is one of the first things you're going to do with Cooney Hills. I know it because I would. I used to love loading up Minecraft maps, like really intricate, nice Minecraft maps that were made in creative, and then blowing them up. It's so much fun. I just wish Fox Games had way better explosions. That would be so much nicer. I was in the middle of leaving my room when I heard that nonsense. Oh, about my deck? Yeah, we had a lot of deck talk going on in here today. I missed what you said. I had to answer the door. Oh, Jamie, you missed what I said? You're going to have to rewatch that one. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not actually repeating what I said because that one was almost kind of blunt. Even I clued in on that one. Waiting for the new update for console to come out? Why, you got some bugs going on, dude? Okay, they're currently working on the MD5 errors. That seem to be prevalent on Xbox, actually. More on Xbox than anything else. It happens every once in a while on PS4, but most of the complaints I see and hear about are from Xbox players. So hopefully they can get those MD5 errors done, because that's pretty game-breaking. You gotta fix those bugs before you add content, and 7 Days to Die isn't fucking Ark. This way we go, and bam. Deck is good. Deck is great. Deck is love. Deck is life. Has made my day a lot easier. Oh, I can't wait to get those batteries out of that box and test out my LEDs. I think the lighting in here is going to get much better, guys, because I invested in some proper lighting as well, too. The package actually came in during a stream, believe it or not. Let's go this way. Oh, did I see an oh, that's why. It's because I accidentally upgraded a corner block. Derp. You're just as bad as us. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Wasn't meant to be. Jamie. I think though you guys can rewind and fast forward this the stream. You know that, right? I have DVR on the stream, so you guys can do that. Like if you get up to walk away and come back, you can actually go back in the stream. It's funny too because sometimes I'll be watching the stream and I'll see some comments, and it's from people who had paused it, came back, and then pressed play again, and they're watching the stream from like 6 minutes ago, and they're just starting to catch up. It must be confusing to them too because like the chat's completely different. You know what I mean? Like what's going on here? My favorite is when I put one of the videos, like make one of the videos public after stream, and then I see in the comments !Dukes. that's one of my favorites. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Because some people will load up a live video like that and just like not read the title or anything, right? And they'll just assume it's live. And like I had a person actually had a whole conversation with me in the comments section of a live video. So many comments that YouTube actually picked him up as a spammer and automatically blocked all the comments. Like he was having a full-fledged conversation with me about what was going on in the stream. It was kind of funny. I read it later. Like I seen all the notifications. I'm just like, oh my goodness. I kind of feel bad now because I didn't answer one single one of these guys' questions. He's probably wondering why or like what the hell's going on, right? I used to have a deck that my wife caught cheating me. Now it's gone. Ooh, did she sell it? Did some lucky streamer get your deck? That sucks. Do I like Ark? It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if you enjoyed doing the same fucking shit over and over and over again and having more shit added on to that same shit, then yeah, Ark's pretty cool. If you can deal with game-breaking bugs like spending 9 hours taming a fucking dinosaur, doing everything legitimately, and then bringing that dinosaur home and then having it choke out in your wall, then yeah, it's a good game. There we go. Bam, bam. If you like buggy ass building that doesn't let you be creative, then yeah, it's a good game. I know I'm bashing Ark to shit right now, but as a survival game, yeah, it's fun. It is fun. It's fun for about 10-15 hours worth of playtime before I want to put it down again because fuck taming dinosaurs over and over again. That's not fun to me at all. I want to build. I want to get stuff done. I do love the survival aspect of 7 Days to Die with the physics combined with the building. It's friggin' amazing. It's a perfect mix for me. But like Ark just severely lacks in any building abilities whatsoever. There's mods and stuff, but even still, the whole base and walls shit is just garbage. That's why I don't like Rust. That's why I don't like all of those games that use that same gameplay. The only one I played that had like the static landscape, like the static landscape where you couldn't dig, but you could still build the like sandbox. That's what it is. That's sandbox. That's the definition of sandbox. Like Ark's a sandbox survival game. It's not a Vox survival game like 7 Days to Die. The only one I ever liked like that was Reign of Kings. It was PvP, and it was voxelized building on a static landscape. It was fucking genius. What your blocks would do is they would merge into the landscape, so that way, like if you had a hill, you could actually hide the blocks into the hill, like it would let you clip them through a bit, and you could actually line up your buildings so that they would line up to the hills and stuff. It was fucking gorgeous. Reign of Kings was an amazing game. Shitty fucking developer that just bailed on the game though. I really wish someone would bring a game like that back that has like the static MMO landscape, because fuck voxelize for PvP. Voxelize is garbage for PvP. People just bury their shit underground, right? They don't make bases, they don't do anything, they just run around killing each other, burying shit underground. That's what it turns into. That to me was perfect mix of PvP because you had trebs, right? You could attack people's castles. It was fucking cool. It was so cool. I played a lot of that back before the devs just fucking bailed on it. So choked about that. That was my first bad alpha experience. Bye, I'm leaving. All right, see you later. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like Ark is just too much work, especially if you play online and you play PvP. Like you literally gotta no life that shit. As a content creator, have fun. You know what I mean? Unless you're the admin of the server and you can cheat in all your items so that you can like sustain entertainable episodes, then yeah, you're not doing much on Ark. Like even its PvE aspect, what's the point? You can't build very well. It's very limited. You're off tomorrow. That's what I thought. Tomorrow, 3 days in a row. Be a perfect time to go for a road trip and maybe check out some deck. See you later, Jamie. Have fun. Enjoy your lunch. I'll see you later. I will message you later. Pizza rolls are the bomb. You know what? I can't eat pizza rolls anymore. I used to eat them hungover, and now they just bring bad memories. Bad memories. Well, anyways, guys, you know what? We've been going on for this for a while. I'm a little anxious to get my stuff checked out. I want to check out the batteries and stuff, get that going. While I've been streaming, I got a whole bunch of more ideas for my game, or for my deck that we've been talking about. By the way, guys, We're gonna go camp full here. If you join the stream later and you don't know what the fuck we're talking about with the deck, what I've recently introduced to the stream, it's a new thing called Streamdeck. It's this little thing here. What it does is it allows you to switch stuff really quickly, right? Like I can stream back and forth towards things and everything. It's pretty friggin' amazing. But now, like, if I want to take a little bit of a coffee break here, like instead of just staring at at like a wall or something, I can cut my cam to full, right, so that we can talk and I can do this. And I'm gonna have to adjust the chat a little more. I didn't know it comes like all the way across this way, right here. It's like running into my nose. Ouch, kind of hurts. But yeah, go this way. Yeah, that's way off. Now I'm like way away from all my stuff. I'm not liking this. But yeah, guys, it's amazing. That's what my stream deck is. And if you look, this is one of the cool things too, is it has more application than just like off or streaming. Like when I'm offline, I have this button. This is called a folder. What this does is actually bring you to a whole new screen. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a whole bunch of little icons in there. Like I have Steam here. I have my GIMP here. That's how I make my thumbnails and do all my photo editing. Fuck Photoshop. Photoshop can go fuck itself. Oh wait, it doesn't do that on this screen. Never mind. You can't see it go fuck itself. Sorry, man, that's my bad. But anyways, I have all my little games. Like there's Quake, there's 7 Days to Die up on here. It's pretty sick. So it has like off-stream capabilities as well too. My volume controls right here. There's up, there's down, there's mute. So I don't have to like go anywhere else. I have it on my headset, but it's nice to be able to turn down like certain things. Because like I can do desktop sound. I can split all my different sounds into different buttons. So I can like mute my browser if I wanted to, right? But anyways, guys, I do want to thank you for your support today. It's been amazing. You guys dropped some huge donations. Always do appreciate it. I also want to remind you guys too, never feel obligated to do that. Only do it if you have some extra money to burn. I never want to take money out of anybody's pocket that, you know, never feel obligated to do it to get attention. I always struggled with that for the longest time, but I figured it, if you guys want to do it, why would I say no, right? Showing off his deck again. Yeah, showing off my deck skills. I've been using it a lot. But yeah, guys, we're gonna end the stream here. My end of my streams now, what I do is I'll have a cut to like an thanks for watching screen, so that for my lurkers, they'll hear the music and be able to recognize that the stream is over, and give you guys a few more minutes to chat with each other. So I'll let the end stream run here for a bit, and then the stream will just end. But anyways, guys, stay classy, always survive, and always back up those game saves. Especially you console users, I'm watching yours. Peace out, guys. See you later.